I'm a lowlife, but now people call me the king. Tearing it up with every lyric that I bring to the table. Because I'm willing and able. I'm in more homes than Comcast cable. I got the skill that'll rattle your brain. I'm a threat like Saddam Hussein. Everybody know my name. Joe Habib's a top soldier. Kid, they should have told you. You really need to pack a lunch. My words hit hard just like a Tyson punch. So give me a chance. I bet you I can make you dance. Show me your girl. I bet you I get in her pants. I'm breaking egos and money is what I'm stacking. Joe Habib on the mic. You know I'm down for action. Shout out to Make Beats Sir and the Beat Smith and the whole Rope a Dope radio crew. Yeah.
All right. I think the best way to start this video is with some objective facts, right? That's the best way to start this video. So there's no inclination or suggestions of subjectivity here. We're just gonna talk about the objective facts, right? Canelo Alvarez currently is the highest earning boxer in the world. It's an objective fact. Can't be denied, right? There's documentation and records to support that. Paramount Global, which is the parent company to Showtime Boxing, is the third largest media broadcasting company in the United States and one of the largest in the world. Paramount Global generated over $30 billion in revenue in 2022. Access Industries, which owns DAZN, generated in 2022 $1 billion in revenue in 2022, right? Showtime Boxing has been doing pay-per-views for 37 years, and they hold the record for the highest grossing fights of all time. Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis, which took place this year, generated over $100 million in revenue, and currently, according to some reports, is number 6 on that list of highest grossing pay-per-view fights of all time, right? So they've been doing it for 37 years. They've broke records. They've had a lot of success over the years. It's irrefutable. DAZN has only been doing pay-per-view for 1 year. And there's been a lot of issues that have been documented and reported of problems with pay-per-view on DAZN, right? So those are all objective facts. Another objective fact is Canelo Alvarez was a free agent. Although he worked with Eddie Hearn, both Eddie Hearn and Canelo Alvarez and Eddie Reynoso, all those parties involved, confirmed and stated that Canelo Alvarez was a free agent. He was not signed exclusively to Eddie Hearn. He did not have an exclusive deal with DAZN through Eddie Hearn. So he was always a free agent. So now that we got the objective facts out of the way, right? Now I'm going to chime in with my opinions. And I think a lot of these opinions are very valid and make a lot of sense. So I kept hearing things like Canelo Alvarez is loyal to Eddie Hearn. He's loyal to DAZN. And I just thought about all those things. And I'm saying to myself, the benefits of being a free agent basically means that the only loyalty you have is really to yourself. Because if you had a loyalty to a promoter or a network, then you wouldn't be a free agent, right? It makes no sense to be a free agent if you have to swear loyalty to a promoter or a network. Now, again, I believe that Canelo Alvarez has a great working relationship with Eddie Hearn, but I also believe that Canelo Alvarez has a great working relationship with a lot of people in the boxing business, PBC included, right? So this whole notion that Canelo Alvarez was going to stay with Eddie Hearn or continue to work with Eddie Hearn exclusively or work with DAZN exclusively based off of loyalty, it was just ridiculous to me. It was ludicrous. So I just couldn't fathom that people were saying, "Oh, well, he's loyal to Eddie Hearn, he's loyal to DAZN." There, based off of that, there's a strong possibility that he's going to continue to work with Eddie Hearn, and work with DAZN, and really not be open to working with other people, or at least not even going to go that far as saying he wasn't willing to work with other people, being open to work with other people. But people were implying that he had some sort of bias towards Eddie Hearn and some sort of bias towards DAZN. But what people were really doing was they were thinly veiling their bias towards Eddie Hearn, their bias towards DAZN. It wasn't Canelo's perceived bias, right? It was their bias, right? People were trying to put up these obstacles and talk about, oh, this other side of the street bullshit. But all those things are irrelevant when you're a free agent, as Canelo was, right? And these are all Mayweather constructs, as I've said before. Mayweather, greatest fighter in our era, in my opinion. But he's always been a very petty individual, always been one to hold grudges, right? So he got his promotional license. And once he was able to go out on his own, right? He signed an exclusive deal with Showtime. And he held that grudge against HBO because HBO did not give him what he wanted at the time. So then he would say, if you want to fight Floyd Mayweather, it's got to be on Showtime, right? And then some of these other PBC fighters, you would hear them say the other side of the street, right? More recently, it was Errol Spence who was using that verbiage, right? But you never heard Canelo Alvarez ever say, if you want to fight me, it has to be on DAZN. You never heard Canelo Alvarez say, I'm a DAZN fighter. You actually heard quite the contrary. You heard Eddie Hearn say, Canelo's the boss. I work for him. I do what Canelo wants me to do, right? So this notion that a promoter or a network was going to tell Canelo Alvarez what to do when Canelo Alvarez is in a position of power, right? He is the face of boxing from a financial standpoint, right? He is the highest earner. So he's in a position where why would he give up those advantages? Why would he give up being a free agent and being able to do what he wants and locking himself in and putting himself in a box like some of these other fighters, right? Why would he sign a long-term deal with the promotional company when the future is uncertain, right? Who knows what the landscape of boxing is going to be like in 3 to 4 years? And again, this man is closing out his career, right? He's trying to formulate an exit strategy here, in my opinion, right? So it just makes no sense that, oh, well, he's loyal to Eddie Hearn. Oh, he's loyal to DAZN. And if you're being objective, you had to see that the biggest and best fights for him, whether you like PBC or not, this is not an endorsement of PBC. This is just reality. This is just an assessment of the situation, right? This is just an assessment of the situation. Whether you like PBC or not, you have to admit and agree that the most lucrative fights, the biggest fights, the fights that most people wanted to see were with PBC fighters. It's just that simple. And to deny that, right? And to deny that, you're just being intellectually dishonest, right? You're just being intellectually dishonest if you're going to sit here and deny that, right? So then you ask yourself, well, why did he sign with the zone in the first place if that was always the case? Or why not? He didn't sign with the zone, but why did he work with Eddie Hearn and fight over at the zone for all those fights in the first place? Why didn't he go to the PBC and accept that 3-fight deal? Again, this is my opinion. This is not fact. This is my opinion. I think that he wanted to get that Golovkin fight out of the way. And in my opinion, that was for the fans. A lot of the Mexican fans held a grudge, I believe, against Golovkin. And I've had some Mexican fans tell me that because of what Golovkin said, the insinuations about the PED use, whatever, this became a grudge match. And this was not a fight that Canelo really wanted, but he did that one for the fans. And obviously that was a big money fight, right? So he wanted to get that fight out of the way. Originally, it seemed like he wasn't interested in that fight, but he saw the interest over the years build for that fight. So obviously he took that fight. The Bivol fight was another fight where, that was a legacy building type fight. I want to fight arguably the best guy at white 175, and this is going to be a feather in my cap. This is something that I can put on the resume, something that I had on my bucket list that I wanted to check off, right? And then maybe an up-and-coming guy like a Berlanga would emerge, and that would be another big money fight for him down the road if he decided to continue to do business with Matchroom and stay over at the zone. So that's why I think he went with that deal, because I think he wanted to save the biggest and best for last. I think he believed that these fights with these PBC fighters would still be there down the road. So let me check off my bucket list of some of these other things first, and I'm going to save the best for last. And now you can argue, and he may be saying this to himself, those fights that were presented to me before from the PBC a few years back, right? Now they're maybe even bigger than they were at that time. So again, I think he always knew that those fights were going to be there for him in the future. And he wanted to close out his career saving the best for last, in my opinion. So those are all opinions. But as I stated, those things that I've mentioned early in the video are not opinions. They're objective facts. And this is not a DAZN bashing video by any means. I talked about this several times. I talked about it on my show, Ringside Reporter with Eric Lauder. And I said, I look at all of these boxing platforms, networks, apps. I look at it as almost like my financial portfolio, right? Showtime for me is like my large cap index fund, meaning those big premium fights, those one or 2 year fights, like the Spence Crawford, like the Garcia Davis, or like a Canelo Benavidez. Those are the premium fights, right, that belong on Showtime between American-based fighters. Now, I know Canelo's not American, but he's an American-based fighter. He's made most of his money, has had his biggest paydays fighting in America. That's another objective fact, right? So when you have American-based fighters and it's a premium pay-per-view fight, in my opinion, the best place to put it would be on a Showtime or an ESPN, right? I don't think those types of fights are better suited to be on the zone. So my large cap, and Showtime has a track record to prove it. They have the highest grossing fights in the history of the sport. And now a lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, those that was a long time ago." But then again, they they showed you again what they could do given the right fight under the right circumstances. All right. Oh, how many of those Showtime subscribers buy pay-per-views? Well, quite a few of them bought this Ryan Garcia Tank Davis fight, and you can rationalize it however you want. Who was the reason why? But Showtime gets credit. The fighters first and foremost obviously get credit for accepting the fight, but Showtime once again has their name in the record books as having one of the highest grossing fights of all time. Right? So this is not subjective. This is objective. So they have a given track record. They have a history, and the zone does not. Right? So why not go with the platform that has the proven track record? And here's another thing: the world is changing. We're becoming more automated, right? And as a result of that, we're becoming more automated, more digital in terms of how we consume our content. That's another objective fact. So you see companies laying off people because a lot of companies are restructuring, right? How many times do you call a company now and you have to go through an automated system, and before you can even get to a live person, you're on the phone for 5 minutes, clicking number one, two, or whatever, trying to get to the person you need to get to. Why do you think that is? Just because the world is changing. We're becoming more automated, right? All these smaller banks are being absorbed by the bigger banks. Why is that? People don't go to branches anymore. They do a lot of their banking online. So as we become more efficient and we become more technical or more technically advanced, I should say, as a country and an economy, you're going to see a need, or less of a need, I should say, for more employees in a lot of these companies, right? So there's going to be some restructuring. But when you talk about streaming, here's the downside to that. When you're live streaming a pay-per-view event on an app or a platform, it's never going to be as reliable as doing it on a traditional cable channel, because we've seen when you overload the bandwidth on some of these apps and platforms, a lot of technical issues arise. So if you give me a choice of for a big pay-per-view, if I could watch it on Showtime pay-per-view by ordering it on my remote, I don't have to call anyone, just hit a button on my remote, where cable has a reliability of probably like 99.9%, where the apps aren't as efficient as cable, right? Particularly when you're live. Now, when you're streaming Netflix and you're streaming Disney Plus and all that stuff, that's a different story. But when you're streaming live, these apps have a hard time sometimes sustaining a high bandwidth, right? You get the buffering issues, you get the technical issues, right? This has happened in the past. So, in terms of reliability and quality, Showtime has a proven track record of success. The Zone does not. And fighters are looking at that. Ryan Garcia is complaining about having that fight being on the Zone, possibly losing some pay-per-view revenues because of all of the technical glitches, right? I'm sure Canelo's looking at that, right? There's a lot of fighters who are going to be looking at these things, right? So getting back to the financial portfolio, I would look at Showtime as my large cap index fund, meaning the big premium fights, I prefer them to be there. What's up, Penny? Now the mid-level fights, which I would call my my mid cap index fund, I would say that's ESPN. You get the Devin Haney versus Vasily Lomachenko. That's a fight fans fight. It's not a premium fight, for the casual, but they give you those types of fights. They're great for that. Now, the zone for me is my international index fund. That's the platform that I like to use for fights over in the UK or in Europe and some of these female fights that normally wouldn't get picked up over here. So we have to be honest when we look at these platforms, and we have to, say to ourselves, certain fights belong on certain platforms. And there's a proven track record to that reflects that, and to make that to make that statement, right? So people wanted to, get into this guilty by association. They didn't like Showtime because they have an issue with PBC. And again, I'm not the biggest PBC fan. Don't get me wrong. I don't like what they do. But when it comes to these big time, high level premium fights, they have a proven track record of doing it better than anyone else. Because they've had the highest grossing fights of all time, and they proved it again with Garcia and Davis. So Canelo, like I said, made a smart business decision because he went with the platform that had the biggest and best fights for him. And this whole notion that Showtime was going out of business, again, Paramount Global, I've already said it, third largest media company in the United States, one of the largest media companies in the world, $30 billion in revenue, 2022. They are not going bankrupt by any means. They're publicly traded on the stock market. Access Industries is not publicly traded on the stock market. So all these things that were being said about Showtime, going broke, not having money to pay fighters, those were just not true statements. They just made no sense. They made no sense whatsoever. Penny, I'm going to let you jump in here, give your opinion on the situation. What's going on, man? Good morning, brother.
Hey man, Joe, what's going on?
How's it going?
Did you watch the draft this morning or last night for you guys?
Well, I'm just a man with a local 22 jacket trying to make a living. So I was out there on the road doing my job.
Oh, hey, by the way, your Boston Celtics, you traded Marcus Smart. That wasn't a very smart move for Porzingis. What?
I don't want to really talk about the Celtics right now. I'm not really happy with what's going on with that franchise. I want to kind of stick with Canelo right now because the Celtics are not really
deal. So who's the three? So it's Jamal Charlo, David Benavidez, and people are saying Errol Spence if he beats Bud. But if he doesn't,
once again, I don't know. But one thing I do know is it appears that there's bigger and better fights over at the PBC for him.
Oh, pay-per-view.
This was a smart move.
Not legacy. The legacy is in the zone with Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. But in terms of pay-per-view,
he's not a light heavyweight fighter. He's a super middleweight fighter.
Yeah, I know. But if you want to be great in terms of your legacy, well, he's already won a belt at 175.
Yeah, the legacy is already intact.
This is more like if he wants to be included in the Mayweather and Pacquiao.
Well, he's already included in that. If you want to be fair,
Canelo.
Well, he's not the best of his era or one of the best of his era.
He's probably in the Miguel Cotto type in that bracket.
Yeah, I disagree with that. But again, we can agree to disagree. I'm not a Canelo defender.
Floyd and Manny, they're like I reckon Canelo's in the Trinidad and the De La Hoya type bracket. I don't know if he's in the Pacquiao Mayweather.
Mayweather and Pacquiao and De La Hoya are all. I consider them all this. Here's the thing. You got to look at them in terms of their position in their era.
Mm-hmm.
So Canelo is to his era what Mayweather and Pacquiao was to theirs.
Yeah,
is
but
that fair? Is that fair to say? See,
yeah,
this
it
is
is.
this is the problem. When people look at Hall of Fame, they look at who's the best, this and that. You can only really compare a fighter to who he has in his era, to what he's doing in his era, to the fighters in his era. Don't compare. When you get you get into this debate about comparing eras. That's all subjective. That is not objective. Like Canelo is the face of boxing right now. Like he's the highest paid guy. He's got the best resume overall, arguably. Overall, he's got the greatest amount of accomplishments right now, currently in the sport of boxing. Now, you can argue that with Mayweather and Pacquiao in their era was more impressive, and that's fair.
They
But
were.
in terms of where Canelo is right now in his era, right? He is in his era what they were in their era. Now you can argue that the levels and degrees of that, but he's in a very
Bibs,
similar position.
had Canelo beaten Bivol and say then he fought Artur Beterbiev and he beat him too, yeah, then yeah, I would put him in the Mayweather
Okay.
Pacquiao bracket. But man, like, dude, Pacquiao came up from 112 to 154. That's like Canelo going from light, super welterweight to like heavyweight. Like, and then Floyd came up from 130 to 154, like, even though he didn't
Yeah, but
achieve as much as Pac. But
were they fighting the best guys at 150? Like they were just basically did the same thing Canelo did. They went up there, they grabbed the belt, and they went back down. Like
yeah, but with Pac, it's a little bit different because he did fight the lineal champ at 112. He fought the lineal champ at 122.
did he fight the lineal champ at 154 though?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
So
But that's
so
only one
again,
weight class. That's only one weight class, though.
at 175 is all. I get. Here's a point, Penny, and this is just my opinion, and I'm not here to disparage yours. Everyone has a cap. Mayweather and Pacquiao's cap was 147. They went up to 154 for the right fights in the right situations. I think it's safe to say Canelo Alvarez at 5'8", his cap is 168. He's really not a 175 pound fighter. We've kind of established that. So he did what Mayweather and Pacquiao did for the right fight, to grab a belt, for a legacy builder. He beat a guy like Kovalev, which is fine. Still a great accomplishment. But as Mayweather and Pacquiao, they were never going to be able to stay up at 154 and compete at 154 and be as successful.
You can argue that Mayweather's 154 reign was better than Canelo's, because he beat De La Hoya, who was the lineal champ at that time.
Well, how many fights?
He beat Cotto. Man, those are like old Hall of Fame. Who did Canelo beat at 154 that could beat those three opponents? That Floyd. Now I know some of them were washed up, especially Cotto, right? And De La Hoya was already washed up by the time he got to Floyd, but he was the lineal champ at that time still, so you can't argue with that. Floyd's 154 reign was pretty good, man.
It's a good point. I mean, how many fights did he really have at 154? He had 3 of them. How many fights did Canelo have at 154? I mean, he's basically made a career of it, so
yeah,
you can argue that. I mean,
the Lara fight, I'll give Canelo that.
Lara, Trout.
Yeah, Trout was undefeated at that time.
Yeah.
But they're not Cotto. Those guys aren't Cotto. Those guys aren't De La Hoya. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, again, this is all subjective. You can argue that Cotto was a little shot.
A young Canelo as well. He destroyed a young Canelo. I was actually at that. Canelo got a power punch in.
That was a fight that I don't think Mayweather gets enough credit for.
Yeah.
But as I said before, man, this whole loyalty thing with Canelo was all BS, because if you're a free agent, the only loyalty you have is to yourself. That's the benefit of being a free agent. And this was my argument all along. This isn't me taking a side. And Calix made a great point. Shout out to Calix Boxing, right? Because guys like you and I, we don't do this full time. We have jobs. We have other sources of income, whatever. But there's guys on here that do this full time. They do a couple videos a day. Almost every day they're making videos. And they need to create narratives. They need these battles between factions. They need to create this divide, because what does it do? It helps them make money. And this was just a fan contrived narrative that had no merit to it. It made no sense. This whole thing that Canelo is loyal to Eddie Hearn, Canelo is loyal to DAZN, that Canelo is not going to do the best and make the best decision for himself. Like, I just wasn't understanding the whole logic behind what these people were saying. I just never saw Canelo move that way, where he had that issue with De La Hoya where he did show loyalty. And it came back to bite him in the ass. So why would he do that again? Why would he make a long-term commitment to anybody based off of when, the Oscar De La Hoya situation, right? He's kind of learned from that, right? Why throw all your eggs in one basket? So I think he saved, like I said before, I think he saved the best for last. That's why he's doing these. He took these fights now and had the other fights over with DAZN. I think he had a bucket list, and he's already checked off most of those things on that bucket list. And the last couple ticks on that bucket list that he's going to check off are going to be with PBC.
I reckon,
right?
Beebs, I reckon Canelo will go back to DAZN though. He's got unfinished business there with Bivol still.
I don't think that fight ever happens, bro.
Also, hey Beebs, now that Canelo is with Showtime for 3 fights, I feel sorry for Tim Tszyu, man, because now Jermell Charlo will probably duck him now, because if Spence loses to Bud, then maybe it's Jermell Charlo. Maybe he's the third fight on that 3-fight deal.
I said this
a year or 2 years before we see that Tim Tszyu versus Jermell Charlo fight. Don't you think?
Yeah, I said this about 8 months ago. And again, I'm not a prophet or a sage, but this is just what I predicted. I always thought Jamal was going to go up to 168. He's a big guy. He's getting old. I always knew he was going to go up to 168. Wasn't 100% sure he was going to fight Canelo or not, but I knew he was eventually going to fight maybe an Andrade or a Benavidez or a Plant or one of those guys. I always knew he was going up to 168. Carlos Adames, who is the interim WBC champion, he's going to be fighting J-Rock, Julian Williams this week. My prediction was, once Jamal moved up, I believed that Carlos Adames, or the winner of this fight between Carlos Adames and J-Rock, is going to be elevated to the full champion. And I just think Jamel's going to shoot right up to 160, and he's going to fight the winner of who wins this weekend on Saturday, tomorrow. Right? That was what I always suspected. That was what I envisioned. That was my point. Yeah, that was my point. Yeah. Because this Tim, like, again, he was already complaining about, who else do I have to fight at 154? I've already done all that I really wanted to do. I don't want to pay all these sanctioning fees, blah, blah, blah. He was already kind of poo-pooing on this whole fight with Tim Tszyu, right? He was already poo-pooing all over it.
See, right? The sad thing about it is I think Jermell Charlo can beat Tim Tszyu, but he just doesn't want to take that risk. Kind of like how Jamal Charlo didn't want to take a risk of fighting Boo Boo Andrade because he's waiting for the Canelo fight, which will happen next, which is like, I don't know.
Let me ask you this, because let's talk about some of these other narratives out there. So now people are going to be critical of this fight with Charlo if it happens, because I don't know if it's going to happen or not. Who knows? Benavidez could still sneak in the back door here. I don't know. But let's just say, for all intents and purposes, this Charlo fight does come off next.
Good fight.
It's still a good fight, right? Is it fair for people to say, well, what about the layoff? Canelo's doing this. Because all of these same fans were the ones that were trying to shove Charlo down our throats. Oh, Canelo's ducking Charlo. Canelo's ducking Charlo. These guys have like history. There's been a buildup for this fight over the years. There's been talk of this fight over the years. There's been interest for this fight over the years. So I don't think anyone should shit on this fight if this is the next fight. And we don't know, and I don't know if Team Benavidez really wants that Canelo fight next. Now, they may want the Canelo fight, but they may just not want it next. Maybe they want another fight in between. Maybe they want to build it up. Maybe they want to try to age Canelo out. There's a lot of maybes, ands, ifs, or buts here from Team Benavidez because they're all over the place. Now they're saying they're not going to fight Morrell, where before Samson Lukowicz said they were going to fight Morrell.
He's not getting nowhere near Morrell, man.
So
maybe
after
he fights Canelo, maybe, but not beforehand.
So I don't believe for 1 second Canelo is ducking anybody. I don't.
Never has.
I don't think he's at least at 168. He's not. I don't think he's ducking anyone at 168 at all. He would be a favorite to beat all these guys. Now,
he never really had a history of it, even like with the Lara and the Trout and the Mayweather one that was so early. He never really had any history of that. Maybe the Boo Boo Andrade, you could look back, but Canelo was fishing for bigger things back then. And Andrade was a nobody at that time.
Yeah.
Canelo, man, I do like this 3-fight deal because.
Well, let me be honest.
The Charlo fight will do 1 million. Jamal Charlo, the first one, I reckon they'll do 1 million.
He did imply that his next fight was going to be on PBC, but one thing that was not confirmed was if it's a 3-fight deal or not. Now, it could be a 3-fight deal because if it wasn't, you could argue that maybe Canelo would, because when Canelo hears things or reads things that are incorrect, he'll come right out and he'll refute them. Like he's checked Mike Coppinger on more than one occasion. He's checked him. So he didn't refute any of this. So the 3-fight deal could be right. It could be correct, but we don't know with 100%. I don't know with 100% certainty if it's 100% real or not. I don't know that. So, but
it's been reported widely.
Could be true. It could be true. But here's the thing, man. 2-fight deals, 3-fight deals make a lot more sense than 6-fight deals.
Yeah,
because you don't know. Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of moving parts in the sport of boxing. Things change so quickly. People win, people lose. Stars emerge out of nowhere. Anything could happen. So 2-3 fights is not a bad thing.
Beebs, that Jamal Charlo fight will probably do 1 million. Then he'll probably fight Canelo. Then he'll probably fight Benavidez. They'll probably do at least 1.3, 1.4 million pay-per-view buys. Say he fights Spence. Say from I am picking Bud to win, but say for example Spence wins that fight against Bud. Man, that would be a catchweight fight. Man, that would do another 1.4, 1.5 million pay-per-view buys. So Canelo's laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
The only thing is, if Spence loses, then say for example it is Jamal Charlo, he probably won't reach 1 million because he already fought his brother. He'll probably do like 850 or something, which is still a pretty good number.
Yeah. But let's throw a monkey wrench in this. Let's say if Bud wins, what if he decides he wants to fight Canelo? Pound for pound supremacy.
It's a bit small, dude. Like, man.
Is he really that much?
He'll be at 165 pounds or something, catch weight.
Is he really that small though in comparison to Spence?
I guess
Canelo. I don't know, man. Yeah, both Spence and Crawford are probably smaller than Canelo.
But Spence is a little bit bigger though. I reckon he.
Sure, yeah, Spence is probably better suited to fight Canelo at a higher weight than Crawford. That's a fair assessment. I would agree with that.
But Bud, he's pretty fast. I don't know if Canelo will need to catch him. That'll be a pretty hard fight. That'll be like an Amir Khan fight, but it will last longer. I don't know if Canelo can catch Bud though. Bud will just his hand speed, his footwork. Canelo would have to do what I thought he would do to Mayweather. I remember I was thinking, dude, you're twice as big as this guy. Bulldoze him, and he couldn't do it. And I was wondering, Bud, Bud hits hard as well. I was wondering if he'll do that to Bud. Like maybe he didn't have the confidence at that time, Canelo, when he fought Mayweather. Now that he is he's got that confidence, maybe he will do it to Bud. Because he can't outbox him. There's no way he'll outbox Bud. He'll have to pressure him. He'll have to. Interesting though. But if he catches him, I think Bud goes down. Because Bud Didn't Kavalauskas knock him down at 147?
I thought he did, yeah.
So Canelo is at like, so this will be a catchweight at 164 or whatever. If he catches him clean, he's gone down. And I don't think he'll get back up. Whereas Spence, he might get up because he's a little bit bigger.
So JC says, Beeb, are you telling us you're back on the Canelo train? I'll tell you, I'm flying the private jet from Peeb Industries right now. I'm not riding anyone's train. I'm riding the boxing train right now. And for me, if you're a boxing fan and you want the biggest fights, then this is actually a good move for Canelo Alvarez fighting a Jermell Charlo or David Benavidez and someone else. There's nobody over there. I don't want to see an Edgar Berlanga fight. I don't want to see a Bivol rematch. I want to see these fights against prime super middleweights. I want Canelo to stay at super middleweight. I want him to fight at super middleweight. I don't want to see him fight Badu Jack at 200 pounds or 180. I don't want to see him go up to 175. 168, in my opinion, is Canelo's ceiling. He's in a division that has a lot of great fighters, good fighters, where he can make a lot of money, can make a lot more money fighting guys like Charlo and David Benavidez or Spence down the road or even David Morrell. All these fights to me, I think, are bigger than a Bivol fight would be on the zone.
Hey, Bibbs,
I'm just being honest.
If Munguia and Berlanga fight, right, and say Munguia wins in a really exciting fight, right, say they go toe-to-toe and Munguia wins, which everyone is predicting, that Munguia-Canelo all-Mexican fight, man, that's going to be man, we haven't seen a really big all-Mexican fight in a while, since maybe Barrera Morales 3, maybe? Like a really big one, like on pay-per-view, you know what I mean? That's probably the last time that we've seen two great Mexicans go at it. I'm not saying Munguia is great, but he's popular enough.
JC is asking me, oh, come on, but you like this move. I don't really like this move. I fucking love this move. I don't like this move. I fucking love it. You kidding me? Do I like this move? No, I love this move. Because guess what? These are the best fights. In fairness, I never believed that the Berlanga fight was going to happen. I never thought that fight was going to happen. Not yet. I'm not even sure that Berlanga is going to look good against Quigley.
Oh, I like that fight too, Beebs. That's a sneaky good fight.
I may put some money on Quigley. I am not a Berlanga fan.
I got Berlanga. I got the young kid.
Berlanga should win, huh? He should win.
He should.
He should win, but again, in a year of crazy upsets, man. In a year of crazy upsets.
He hangs out. Berlanga hangs out. Berlanga reminds me of Juanma Lopez a little bit. Like, he had this big buzz and then nothing happened to him. Top Rank actually cashed him out. Juanma.
Yeah, JC's saying that he likes he's got the skinny.
But quickly, he's not really a 160 fighter, right?
Not a 168er. He's like a 160 fighter. Yeah.
But I do like it though, because a lot those British fighters, they're not that slick, right? So all you're gonna see is action. And Berlanga, he's a knockout artist. So this would be a good. I like this fight. I like it.
Yeah,
it's a good test.
I'm gonna be honest, man. This is a great move. This is great for boxing guys. This is not just a great. Take off your fucking Canelo Alvarez hat. Take off your David Benavidez hat. These are good, exciting, entertaining fights. Jermell Charlo is gonna fight. He's gonna go in there and fight. He's gonna try whatever you want to say, whether you love him or hate him. He's gonna try and win the fight. He's not gonna go into survival mode. He's a big young kid coming off a layoff. I'm favoring Canelo. Do I think Canelo's going to win? Absolutely. That's my pick.
Jermell Charlo.
But I would love to be. I think it's regardless of who I think is going to win, I think on paper, these are not only good matchups, but they're entertaining matchups, I think. Potentially very entertaining. No disrespect to Bivol, but was that fight with Canelo entertaining? Like, this guy was just laying back, picking in product. Like, Charlo is going to try to take it to Canelo.
Yes.
He's not going to sit there and lie back and
his KO percentage is actually better than his brother's. If you look at his record.
he's a big puncher. He's a quick, athletic guy. I just think on paper it's a more entertaining fight than a Bivol. Like, again, I like Bivol. No disrespect to Bivol, but I just have no interest in that rematch. It wasn't a great fight stylistically to watch either. It was a very uneventful fight. I don't think any of these fights, I don't think Benavidez Canelo, I don't think Charlo Canelo, I don't think Morel Canelo, if that happens, I don't think any of these fights are going to be uneventful. I do
think that Bivol will fight Artur Beterbiev now.
Yeah, I think this is what I think is going to happen. Now you're hearing the WBC say, "Oh well, if he takes the proper measures and does follows the proper procedures that we have, then he can fight for our title." So he's going to probably write some type of friggin' letter or something, or make some type of statement, and they'll end up sanctioning the fight. And someone over in Dubai or the Middle East or Saudi Arabia is gonna foot the bill for the fight, and it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So
I like that fight, Bivol Beterbiev. A box up.
Which fight do you like better? Bivol Beterbiev or Bivol Canelo? Like, do you really want to see the Bivol Canelo fight? Be honest.
I want to see it eventually, but not now. But I do like that Artur versus Bivol, because I want to see who's the best at 175.
Will you be disappointed if Canelo doesn't fight Bivol again? Will it bother you?
Will it bother me? Yeah, it will. Because I want Canelo to beat him. I want Canelo to be. I actually want him to be in the same bracket as Floyd and Mayweather, so he can reach
the. He already is. Come on, he already is. Give it to him. Just give it to him, man.
If he beats Bivol, I think.
Why does he have to beat Bivol to put him in that category?
Biebs, if you're the face of boxing, it doesn't mean that.
So let me ask you this: so Manny never beat Floyd, but you're still giving. Manny never beat Floyd.
But the other ones.
Did he beat Bradley? No.
Did he twice.
Got knocked out by Marquez?
Yeah, because they fought 4 times.
Doesn't see now this is where the emotion comes in now. You're a big Pacquiao fan.
Hey, that's true. That is true. Hey, Marquez should have given Pacquiao a 5th.
Now again, I'm Mayweather and Pacquiao. Like, Mayweather to me is the fighter of his generation.
I agree with that.
Canelo to me is the fighter of his generation. Now you can argue whose generation was better, who did more in their generation, who had better challenges. But again, you have to put Canelo and judge him by who was in his generation.
If Bud wins against Spence, I don't know, man. He's got a case too. I know he's not a pay-per-view star like Canelo is.
Okay, but will that one fight wipe away everything Canelo has?
No. But Bud was wasn't he undisputed at 140?
140. Yes, he was.
And then here he'll be undisputed at 147 too. So that's two undisputed, whereas Canelo is only undisputed in 168. It was lineal at 154, I think. I think it was lineal. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But what about Tyson Fury? Dude, Tyson Fury, he's in the same era as Canelo.
I don't even want to talk about Tyson Fury. He's the best heavyweight of all time. That's on a different stratosphere. But here's where I'm consistent, Little Penny, and I'm not like these other people on here. If Tyson Fury does not fight Alexander Usyk in December, there's no defending him. There's no defending him. I got to be like Paulie in Goodfellas. Remember what Paulie said to Henry?
Yeah.
I can't have anything to do with you after that. If that fight doesn't happen, the Tyson Fury shirts, I start using them for chamois to wash my car with. That's just what's going to happen. That's what's just going to happen. I got to cut him loose. I'm the biggest Tyson Fury fan that's ever been created on this
I
planet.
think it will happen, Beebs. I think
No,
Tyson
I think
Fury.
I think it'll happen too.
I think he wants a number that he's comfortable with, that Saudi will give him. Because I think this tournament, I think it will happen.
I'm gonna be honest with you. With the exception of Usyk, he has to fight in August if he wants to keep the title. I don't think any of these guys. I don't think Joshua or Wilder should fight in the summer. I think everyone should wait. I don't think Fury, Joshua, or Wilder should fight. I think they should all wait for December. That's my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah. I think that's what
No,
they're doing. I
I
think
don't.
that's
I
what.
don't. I
No,
don't.
no, no, Beebs. I think AJ is fighting in August against what's his name, Dillian
Who?
White.
No,
Dillian
that
White.
fight's off the table. Dillian
I know,
White
I
reject.
know. I think they're just still negotiating. I think.
You think
He'll,
you think they can make that happen?
yeah, I think Eddie Hearn probably needs to up his offer to Dillian White, because this is probably Dillian White's last big payday. I think that fight will happen. That rematch. I think AJ will again knock him out. You know, Dillian White he's washed up now, man. Dillian White is there's nothing left there anymore. He says there is, but there isn't. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Hey, Beebs, someone said here, what was it? Off topic. Thoughts on Wembenyama, the next Shaq? Nah, man. Shaq was like dominating, different game.
That's why I love every time I bring you in here. I got people
Different
talking about
game.
basketball. I got people talking about financial banking. I mean, you bring a whole different dynamic to this
I'm
channel.
just reading off what JC is saying. I
Let me
do
ask
like
you-
Wembenyama, by the way. He's not Shaq, though.
Let me ask you a question. I have another idea that I'm going to kind of implement for this channel, and it's other YouTubers have done it, so this is not original. I like to buy a lot of these products, like a lot of these like protein cookie, protein chip, bar type things, right? And I see a lot of people do like reviews on these things. I want to stop doing some reviews. I did a review on these hold the sugar protein cookies a couple years ago. I want to start doing those things regularly. You think that'll be a good thing to do, or you think that's kind of like people don't give a shit about that? Be honest.
Nah, I don't think so, Beebs. I think what you're doing is fine, man. Like,
You don't think I can add another dynamic to it?
arrogant sport, like do like a basketball or something, Beebs. Like, because
Yeah.
there's no one really. I don't know. I'm not a gym person, so I don't know. Maybe some people who like to go to the gym, maybe like Hamed, maybe he might
All right.
like it, but
All
I wouldn't be interested in that.
Okay.
I wouldn't
Okay.
watch that, Beebs. I'd just watch your other shows.
We're gonna go to the smartest man in the room right now, Hamid. Spit some facts here. Spit some knowledge. Kick it to us, baby.
Yo, I missed what I haven't heard what you guys was talking about because it just.
Well,
just
you read the title, right? You know what's going on. You read the title. You've been on Twitter. You've been talking about it. You and I have both been dodging bullets, arrows, and flamethrowers. You know we've been taking shots for these last couple of months because we saw the writing on the wall, but no one wanted to believe us, right?
No, I'll admit you were one of the few that's got a platform that was saying this, but I got to give credit to Canelo as well. Obviously, I got to give credit to people like you.
First and foremost, he was
Yeah.
loyal to himself. He was loyal to himself first, as he should be, as any fighter should be, as any businessman should be. Be loyal to yourself first and foremost.
Yeah. No, I think there's a lot of salty people who have become like big fans of Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, but Canelo himself, I don't think he was ever a guy to be known to always take the easy path because I remember when he fought Austin Trout, I believe Golden Boy didn't want that fight to happen, but
Yeah,
he
true.
threatened to leave Oscar, and then he made the fight with Bivol, which I did not think he had to take that risk because guys like Mayweather, Roy Jones, some of these guys, I don't think if they were in that position, they would not have went up to fight a guy like Bivol because I think that was one of his biggest risks he took. So I'll give him credit. The only thing I'm just wondering is when the Benavides fight happens, because if it doesn't happen now, then it'll probably happen in next May. So Benavides will have to try and stay busy or just keep on winning. But I'm happy that the fact that none of these promoters have come in the way, and Canelo has kind of taken his own route to try and make the big fights happen. Because on the zone, I don't think there's any anything left apart from, I think they wanted to maybe try and make the rematch with Bivol, but once that fizzled out, it looks like they were trying to go for a guy like Badu Jack, but I don't know if many people really wanted to see that fight.
I mean, these are the fights that make the most sense that everybody wanted to see, and they're the most lucrative fights. This is what made sense. No one says you have to love PBC. No one says you have to love Showtime. We don't have to get into, oh, is Showtime going to these are all other arguments that have nothing to do with the fights and having the best fights happen, watching the best fights happen, and watching the big fights happen. Who knows what's going to happen in 2 years? Canelo could probably create his own network, call it Canelo Vision. He'd be fighting on. He can fight on his own network.
Yeah, yeah.
Who knows what
Or
the
he could
fuck's going to
leave.
happen?
Or he could
And you know,
leave and start.
you know what, Beeps? I think boxing fans who have a lot of old people, by the way, I think they still want to buy the pay per view based on cable or by pressing
Well,
your rather
what
than
I
like
said, what I
this on
said
the
earlier,
phone.
what I said earlier is the future streaming? Yeah, Disney Plus, Max,
No, yeah,
Netflix, Hulu. But here's the problem: when you talk about live pay per view, nothing is more reliable than cable,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Because when you have a platform and it's live and the bandwidth gets overloaded, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. It's
yeah,
still not the best option, right? It's not for live fights. So if
Yeah,
I have a choice, just from a quality standpoint, without having to have like I've had issues with all streaming platforms when I watch something live, even if I bought and paid for it. I see it get blurry, it kicks in from HD to standard, but I have never ever had an issue buying a
yeah.
Showtime pay-per-view for the last 37 years.
And
They
Beeps,
they have a proven track record.
and Beeps, those people who bought the Mayweather Pacquiao fight, which was about 4.6 million homes, so that could add up to like 10, 15 million viewers. Majority of those guys, they're not dead yet, so they are still used to like using their remote control. And yeah,
Little
there's some
Penny,
people.
you're an investment guy, right? Like me. You're a money guy like me. What do we always talk about when in regards to investment? Diversify. Why throw all your eggs in one basket? Give people an opportunity. You want to cut the cord? You can buy it on the app. You want to buy it on your remote? You can buy it on the remote. Why just give somebody one option, right?
Hmm.
And that's
But I
the
think,
problem. That's the problem with the zone.
but a
You
lot
are
of boxing
one.
fans, the demographics are around the like the 60 to 40-year olds. Like, boxing doesn't have a lot of young fans. It's not like the NBA where they got fans who are like 16, 17 years old. Boxing's fans are in like the 40, 60 range where they used to buying their boxing matches on pay-per-view on cable.
Let me ask you this: if you're at your house and you have an option, you can watch it on cable, you can watch it on the app. What are you going to choose?
No, cable. It's more reliable.
That's exactly it.
well, you know the pay per view argument. Like, I get it. We don't, like, as fans, we don't want to see too many fights on pay per view. But if the best fights happen, like Crawford Spence, when Mayweather fought Pacquiao, these are fights I wouldn't mind paying for. Like, I wouldn't mind going to them. I know they've overpriced tickets, so it's hard to go to them. But Benavidez planned fights like this. I don't got no problem. But when fights like Canelo Ryder, I know a couple of Javante Davis fights I went on pay per view as well against like guys like Hector Garcia. These are fights we don't really want to see. So that's where I can understand the outrage or criticism. But like what Zone have done recently has not helped their case. Like putting their subscription up to $200, I think, dollars a year, and then charging pay per views.
225.
Yeah, charging
225
pay per views.
and anecdotally in my circle alone, anecdotally in my circle alone, and I stress the word anecdotally. I'm not going to make a blanket statement like everyone else and just say things that are factual. I know anecdotally in my circle alone, I know 10 people who have canceled their subscription.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
and
I don't blame them.
you know, they've canceled their subscription.
Yeah, I don't blame them
And
because in the UK, Canelo Ryder was not a pay per view. Right, Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis, that was obviously going to be pay per view in America, but it wasn't here. So for the UK subscribers, I think they may have helped, but in America they have not helped because Canelo Ryder was a tough sell in America.
Zone is
Mm.
just not popular in America. It's just not. They don't have the subscribers. And then I keep hearing how many subscribers on Showtime are buying pay-per-views. Ask yourself that question. It was answered by Garcia versus Davis.
Yeah,
It's going to be answered by Crawford versus Spence. It's going to be answered by Canelo versus Charlo,
Benavidez,
Canelo versus
Benavidez,
Benavidez.
yeah,
These fights are better suited to be on Showtime pay-per-view if you want the most exposure for those fights. Eddie Hearn knows. He knows the numbers. He knows for those fights, he cannot compete with Showtime for those particular fights. He knows that. He's not going to argue against that. Because
yeah.
if that was
He
the
said
case,
that.
then
He said,
he said that. He said that. But the
yeah,
cognitive dissonance of these fans who have to have this narrative, who want to create this narrative. Like, let me ask you this, little Penny. When you're watching the Lakers versus the Dallas Mavericks, you get in arguments with people and fans. Who's the better owner, Jeannie Buss or Mark Cuban? Oh,
mhm.
this I'm not going to watch the finals unless it's on TBS instead of TNT or ESPN. Like, these fans are retarded. They're dumb. Is it going to give any fighter advantage? Does it matter who's holding the camera? Whether a worker from DAZN or a worker from Showtime is holding that camera, is that going to give Canelo any advantage one way or the other? Is that an actual deal point in making a fight? This was a Mayweather construct that no one else used. If fighters really want to fight each other, it will get done if the fight is big enough and it can generate enough money. Right? These are all Mayweather constructs that fans are just piggybacking off of now. They want to use them. They want to create narratives so they can have these arguments on Twitter, so they can get more views on their fucking YouTube channel. Drama sells, and people are creating drama just to get views. You want Canelo to fight your YouTube community petty little battles for you. He is not going to do it, and he didn't do it, and he showed you that by what he just did.
Hey,
He's loyal to himself, not to these fucking promoters and networks. That is a fact.
Hey, Beebs, these 3 fights with for Canelo in PBC, do you reckon he'll win all 3 of them? I reckon he will.
He could.
I reckon he will.
I'm picking Benavidez to beat Canelo, but again, I could be way wrong there. I could be way wrong there.
That's the tough fight. I think Benavidez.
You're picking Benavidez?
I am.
Ahmed, who are you picking? Benavidez, Canelo?
I think it's 50-50, but the longer it goes, I'd probably pick Benavidez as well.
Yeah. The longer it goes, correct. I agree with that.
Canelo's favorite on paper, but I kind of agree with Thing.
Yeah. I do think Canelo's on the downside of his career, but he's not washed up though.
No, but if Canelo doesn't knock him out, do you think Canelo could beat him over 12 rounds?
Here's the thing: it's a numbers.
Yeah.
It's a numbers game, and I'm just going to be honest with you. And again, this is opinion. Go back and watch that Plant fight. I had it 5-5 up until the time of the stoppage. Canelo was losing a lot of early rounds, in my opinion.
Yeah, but
the fight was competitive.
Let me finish.
He can be. But that's the majority, right? Here's the thing, though. If it's a numbers game, right? Canelo's a guy who fights in spurts. He likes to lay back, right? Throws one punch at a time. More so than ever, he's been more economical. You have a round that's on the table. Maybe not a lot of punches are being landed, right? But one guy's throwing a lot more. Who are the judges going to give those rounds to? Hamid's 100% correct. It's basically a numbers game. People can say whatever they want about that Plant fight. Oh, well, he threw most of the punches in the second half. He still threw the punches. So I mean, the punches, like, it doesn't matter when he threw the punches. It's the fact that he did throw the punches. When he did kick it up a notch and turn it up a level, you saw the volume cascade all over Caleb Plant, right?
Yeah, but
I thought Benavides dominated Plant. I think Canelo
I mean,
knocked him out.
I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I gave Plant 3 rounds in that fight.
That's what I gave him. But
I gave him 3 rounds in that fight. I thought the performances were very similar with Canelo. I actually thought Benavides did better, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But at the end of the day, on paper, on BoxRec, on paper, it says Canelo stopped him. So on paper, the stoppage is going to be recorded as being more impressive. I understand that. I understand that.
Between Plant and Canelo is Canelo hits harder. So when Benavides receives those punches from Canelo, who is twice as hard, those volume punches that he's usually throwing, he might not throw it as much.
But do you think Benavides will fight the same style? Because against
Benavides,
he just
I know a lot of people like to downplay Benavides' boxing ability, but I think he's very underrated as a boxer. Very underrated as a boxer. I think he's got an excellent jab. I think he's got quick hands. I think he's got quick feet. When you watch him come in forward, right? He's got that high guard, right? He's very reactive to what's coming at him. He's excellent at catching and shooting, not while he's backing up, not while he's taking that step back and half step back and stepping off to the side. He's actually counter punching while he's moving forward. So he's coming and he's catching shots and punching while he's moving forward. This guy is so fluid, right, with his offense. He's got such a smooth offense to him. And he has a wide array of punches, right? He can shorten up punches. He could change the trajectory of a punch in midair while he's throwing it. He's got a very quick, short uppercut on the inside, right? He's a good inside fighter. I think his defense is underrated. He didn't get hit with a lot of shots against Caleb Plant, right? He got hit with a lot less shots than Canelo did against Caleb Plant. So I don't know. I just think this guy is dangerous.
I agree with everything, but I think people will always talk about footwork. But the flip side is Canelo doesn't have great footwork as well. So
he's got slower feet. He's got slow feet.
That's why I think it's a pick 'em fight. I would probably lean towards Benavides.
If people are picking Canelo, they got a good argument.
Yeah. Canelo will chop that tree, man.
They're not
Canelo
crazy.
will chop that tree. He's tall. His opponent is tall, right? That body is there to be hit. Benavides is not very good at defending his body either because it's always up high. So Canelo, man, he's going to chop that tree round by round. You watch.
Canelo hasn't stopped anyone recently. That's my only.
Yeah, because they're all at 175 because they're big.
John Ryder.
I told people he wasn't going to stop Golovkin, and I told people he wasn't going to stop Ryder.
Yeah, I defeated. I picked the Ryder fight to go late.
I made some money on both fights because I bet the decision prop on both fights. Everyone says I'm an idiot. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Beefs, no one's gonna stop.
I'm having a pretty good year right now with my
Beefs,
bets.
no one's gonna stop Triple G, man. Like that guy's got a granite chin. Like who's stopping Triple G?
Canelo didn't even hurt him. Like Murata, Derevchenko, these guys actually hurt Golovkin. I don't know. That was a bit of a bizarre fight. Like I thought Canelo won like 9 rounds or maybe even 10.
Yeah, I thought Canelo won 9 rounds to 3 against Golovkin. I had him winning.
But it wasn't impressive in the second half. Canelo looked like he gassed out. Golovkin.
And here's another thing. Benavides gets better as the fight goes on.
Yeah.
I reckon it's the second fight, Beebs. I don't think Canelo wants to wait. I think it's the second fight. After he fights Charlo, it will be Benavides next year in May.
Who does Benavides fight to? Is the Morrell fight happening?
He won't. He'll stay. He won't fight.
Once again, this has to be explained to somebody who just doesn't get it. If you make picks week after week, year
You're
after
gonna get it
year.
wrong.
You're going to be wrong at
I
least
picked
half
Taylor
of.
too.
You're going to be wrong half the time. If I
I picked
ask
Taylor as
any,
well.
if I ask anyone what is their lifetime predictions, the answer I'm going to get is I don't know. You know why? Because you only count your winners. You don't count your losers. That's why every year they have these fantasy prediction boxing leagues. Why do they start over every year? Because everyone wants a clean slate. People tweet out what they win. Here's the thing. When I bet Joshua to win by decision over Franklin, I got 3-1 odds. When you guys are making your little rinky-dink picks on Twitter and YouTube, I'm actually putting money up and I'm doubling, tripling, and timesing my money by 4 when you guys are doing these ridiculous little stupid bets that you're not making money off them. When I picked Bradley over Pacquiao, 4-1. Cotto over Martinez, 4-1. Fury over friggin' Klitschko, that's a 4-1. I am making value plays here. What are
Beeps,
you
did
guys
you,
doing? What are
Hey,
you
Beeps,
guys
did-
doing?
hey, Beeps, you
No,
know
no,
when
no.
sorry,
When I'm
bro.
picking Lopez over Lomachenko, getting 4-1 there. I am making money. You
Hey,
guys
Beeps,
are just fucking.
didn't
You
you
guys
pick
want to make
Clarissa?
picks to. You guys want to make picks to brag. Excuse me, picks to brag. I make picks to make money.
Hey, Beeps, didn't you pick Clarissa Shields to beat Savannah Marshall? Those are pretty good odds too, because I remember the Clarissa Shields
I picked
win. It was a pretty good odds.
and,
It was
and
good
everyone
odds.
wants and everyone wants to say how biased I am, right? You're just gonna score the fight for the people you pick. I picked Clarissa Shields to beat Savannah Marshall,
So did I.
but I do think Savannah Marshall won the fight, and that is an extreme minority position, and I'll accept that.
I disagree.
I'll accept that. And you vehemently disagree with me on that, Hamid. You had it like not. You had it like what? Hamid had it like 7-3. He had it wide, and I accept that. I accept that. I'm not going to fight with Hamid. That's his scorecard.
Yeah,
It's
I
that
agree.
simple.
That's the last time, Beebs. That's the last time you're gonna get Clarissa Shields in a very good like betting odds.
That's another thing.
Last time.
I bet on Clarissa Shields, but I scored against her.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit.
I picked Eubank to beat Groves. I know a lot of people did, but I
did. I got great odds. That's another one. I got almost 3-1 on Groves in that fight.
No, I picked Eubank. I was made to look bad.
I picked
but
Groves.
I went with my heart. Like that's the thing. When you're making predictions week in, week out, and you're
Hey,
most
Hammond,
invested-
what about the Eubank Smith rematch? You reckon it'll be different this time, or will it be the same?
I don't know what is that fight even official. I heard it was.
I had
Eubank.
Eubank winning that fight,
Yeah,
and I thought he was doing well until he got knocked out.
So we got caught.
I thought he was winning.
I had him
thought he was
winning.
Yeah,
I didn't think. I thought he looked good. Here's my thing, bro. And again, I am making excuses, but the excuses I'm making don't matter. It's irrelevant because what happened happened. I do think because he had that crazy preparation for that Ben fight, and then when that Ben fight didn't happen, I do think it affected him.
Yeah,
I do. Now,
agree.
How many
doesn't-
people even?
that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because what happened. Liam Smith gets full credit, and I apologize to him for making this excuse and even putting this out in the universe. But at the end of the day, I think Eubank knocks him out in a rematch. I'm picking Eubank heavy.
I think Eubank could beat him on points. I just didn't like his body language when he got hurt.
same. Because Carl Froch, who has sparred against Eubank Jr.
Yeah.
Froch say that Eubank Jr.'s got a really good chin, and this was at 168. So for him to get knocked out like that, I reckon it's the weight. I reckon he shouldn't be fighting at 160.
Yeah, the weight cut because he fought at 168 and then he tried
He looked
boiling down
again.
to 157.
Again, I don't want to make excuses for him, but I am making. I'm contradicting myself here because I am
think
making
the
excuses
reasons
for him.
not.
But his body looks so fucking dry, bro.
Yeah,
He looks so fucking dry.
old now too.
This is a guy that is just naturally shredded. There's not much to cut on this guy's. This guy is like one of the lowest body fat percentages I've ever seen from a fighter.
Yeah.
He's shredded. He's fucking ripped.
He
I don't
tried
know.
making
I
the
don't.
catch weight. That was a very bad decision because
Yeah, that whole thing
his
was
dad
bad,
said they
bro.
should cancel the fight. I don't know if mentally he was there because his brother died as well. Look, I give Liam Smith full credit because once you get in the ring, I don't think anyone should make any excuses unless your leg is falling off or you're fighting with one arm or one leg. Then even then, I think someone should have pulled you up. But I think he was not 100%. But in the
Yeah.
rematch, I'm not sure. Liam Smith, I think, will probably be still favorite. I don't know how
Mm.
people are seeing it because that was a bad knockout.
Oh, Liam Smith will definitely be favored.
And also, Liam Smith is not renowned as a big puncher.
Yeah, that's what I was
And
gonna
for
say.
him to
Let
knock
me
him
let,
out, I
let,
don't know. It
let,
looks weird,
let me ask
man.
you this. Let me
Yeah,
ask you this, Hamid. Wait, are you? Do you live in the UK?
yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Like, is the perception that Eubank is definitely going to fight Conor Benn now? Like people keep talking about that fight like it's
Hasn't got a
an
license.
obvious like it's an obvious next fight. Like this is definitely going to happen. I I don't know, man. Do you see that fight happening next? Do you think the whole thing with Liam Smith is just it's not going to happen, or what do you think?
I I heard that that fight got postponed or whatever, pushed back from because they
Yeah,
want to
I
fight in
never.
June. And then I heard
Yeah,
Conor Ben fight they were trying to make in Dubai. But the other day, I'm sure I read Liam Smith and I don't know what website it was. It's either World Boxing News or one of those other. He said that Liam Smith and Eubank are gonna try and reschedule their fight for August or one of those other dates. I don't know though if anything is confirmed because that they should have at least announced something. I know after Sky said they postponed the fight. I don't really have much interest in that Conor Ben fight because I think
I
Conor
don't like the
Ben
Conor
needs.
Ben fight at all.
Yeah, I
At
don't like
all.
that fight, and I think he needs to try and clean up his act. And he should be fighting welterweights, not a guy who's just been knocked out and who's going to be essentially drained as well.
I
Unless
don't
he
like
wants to go up to 168 to 160 to fight Eubank. But
I don't
I
like
think
these
that needs to
crazy
start.
fights, man. I don't like these crazy fights.
I don't like the catch weight. That's why I was so critical of the Badu Jack and Canelo
Like
fight. I
Conor
thought if
Ben can't
Canelo
even
wanted to
fight
fight
in
him
England, right? He hasn't got a
cruiserweight,
license. Is that right? He's not
yeah, I don't
licensed
think
in
he has.
England, so he has to fight somewhere else, like maybe in America. Maybe fight Boots Ennis or something. Boots or Virgil Ortiz. Maybe Virgil Ortiz is probably a more winnable fight. Maybe that one. That would be a good fight. Conor Ben, Virgil
Mitchell
Ortiz.
Ortiz is fighting Stanionis. I don't think Eddie Hearn's gonna
Yes,
pull up.
then Jonas. Yeah, I
But
like that fight.
I don't think Eddie Hearn's gonna. Well, he's already lost Canelo. I think Katie Taylor just lost the last fight. AJ, I think he's hanging on. He maybe has one more big fight left in him against Wilder, but I think
Oh, I like
I
that
think
fight.
with Conor Ben, I think he's gonna be careful. I would like to see Conor Ben fight some of the other top welterweights, top 10 maybe even. But I don't know what the situation is because I know he can't fight with a British license, and they want to try
Mm.
and get him to Dubai. But I don't like that Eubank fight. Before he got knocked out, I didn't mind it. I didn't like the whole catchweight thing because I thought if you're gonna fight the guy, just fight him at his weight or just fight the guys in your own weight class. But right now, I don't know. I think Eubank needs to have the rematch with Liam Smith and then see if he could even fight at middleweight because it looks like he might be done at middleweight or he might be done in general.
Yeah, yeah.
He should have fought. He should have fought Triple G when he had the chance. He would
Yeah,
have
I was at
got
that
knocked
fight.
out, but at least he would have fought him at that. Like,
Kell Brook took the fight. Yeah, I think
oh,
Eubank.
oh, bro.
I think
Oh,
Eubank may have put up a better fight than Kell Brook, but I think he would have got stopped or
yeah,
gotten knocked out.
that's because Amir Khan took the Canelo fight. Because those two fights, they were nearly
Yeah,
around the same time frame. Remember?
act of desperation, I think.
Yeah, and both
I,
fights actually was at the detriment of their careers.
yeah,
Khan got brutally knocked out,
who did
and
better?
Triple G broke Brooks' eye.
Orbital bone. Yeah, I thought Brook hurt him because I was at that and I seen Golovkin's legs go for a split second, but I did think Khan won more rounds. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, oh yeah, Khan was winning rounds against Canelo
Yeah,
because
I
of
thought
his
he
I
was.
first
had
hands.
again. This is another thing that I get yelled at and insulted when I say this. I had Khan up in the fight before he got stopped.
Yeah,
I thought
same.
Canelo only won one round before the knockout.
Yeah,
I had it like 4-1. But I think
Yeah,
Canelo was coming on strong. I think that
I
fight
had
Yeah,
it.
was.
I had it 3-2.
yeah, because
But
Yeah,
Canelo
Con,
was throwing to
Con
the
was
body a lot, and then when Canelo went for the head, Khan thought that he was going for the body, but he went up top and it caught him clean, and
I think Khan was
that's all
done
she
after
wrote.
that. Yeah, that right hand to the head, that finished Khan. Against Crawford, he was shot. Against Brook, he was even more shot. That's why I didn't understand how so many people picked him to beat Brook, because I thought Brook did better against Crawford than Khan did. I know Brook ended up getting stopped in less rounds, but Brook actually I thought was outboxing Crawford until Crawford clipped him. With
Brook's a
Khan,
good
he was,
fighter, man. I like Brook, bro.
I think he was very
Yeah,
underrated
I
technically.
think had he not fought Triple G, and say he fought his mandatory, which was Errol Spence, I think that would have gone to the distance. I don't know if Errol Spence would have stopped him with a healthy Kell Brook. I do think Spence would have won there. I just think that I think Kell Brook would have given it a good chance because he was fighting at home as well in his hometown. He would probably gotten maybe one or two swing rounds, but I reckon Spence would have still beaten him. But yeah, I reckon Triple G uh, broke his eye,
Let's just face it, yeah.
and then Errol
Spence, let's
Spence
face
broke the other eye, which actually, ironically, Errol Spence said in that recent press conference, he said that he had the same eye surgery as Kell Brook. So I was wondering, maybe Bud Crawford's gonna target that eye, like.
Well, I don't know if there was structural damage to the skull or if it was just an issue with the eye. I don't know. I don't know if it was exactly the same or if there's some similarities. I don't
Well,
know.
Beebs, Errol Spence was supposed to be scheduled to fight Pacquiao, right?
I
And
remember
then
that.
and then he injured him, and then he injured that eye
yeah,
during
it's an
Yeah,
sparring.
orbital.
it was a retina issue though. I don't know if it was a orbital bone.
Yeah, whilst wearing headgear,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So it is damaged in some way. Now,
Oh
I don't,
yeah,
I don't know anything
that's
about
yeah.
attached retina. Once you get it repaired, is it fully repaired or it never is?
Um, I've talked to optometrists and ophthalmologists, and it's a pretty successful. The chances of redetachment are very rare.
Okay.
But once again, you are going into that environment where it's not conducive to to protecting it either. So
Yeah. Because Spence did look good against Ugas. He looked really good. Like I didn't
he
know he
did
was
have
going to
that.
beat
He did
Ugas.
have that one shaky moment where he got hurt, but other than that, he came back strong.
I rewatched that. Someone posted on Twitter the other day. I don't think he was as hurt as some people made it out because he was
Yeah,
looking for his gum shield, which I don't know, which was a fundamental error, but it was. I think a bit of blame has to go on the referee. I don't know what he was. He called for a timeout, which I don't think he should have, but he was definitely buzzed. I don't know why Ugas didn't jump on him. Ugas kind of let him off the hook, but apart from that round, I thought Spence dominated him, Ugas, and he won pretty much every round. I was quite
yeah.
surprised. I thought he'd win on points. I didn't think he'd beat him
Yeah,
up like
same.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
same.
quite surprised. So it'll be interesting to see how he does after coming after another long layoff. I've always favored Crawford, but right now I think at any time I think you could make a argument this is as close as 50-50 to as it's been, because I think the longer it's gone on, I don't know when one of these guys will stop peaking, because Crawford is 35 or 36. So that's my only worry about the fight. I think it should have happened a couple of years ago, but
Oh
I think
yeah.
it's better now than late, because we've seen what happened with Wilder and AJ and some of these other fights where both the guys ended up getting knocked out and lost.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like this. I do like this Spence Bud fight. It's one of these welterweight fights that we love to see. Oh man, like even the Khan Brook fight that would have been a great welterweight fight back in the
10 years
days.
ago.
Yeah, like they should have fought when they fought Canelo and Triple G. That's the time that they should have fought.
Yeah.
Well, it would have done
2015.
well on pay per view too, right, Hamed, in England?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
reckon
Oh, it would have been would have been probably able to sell out to Wembley. If he fought him after he beat Porter, and then I think Khan beat Devon Alexander, that's when that fight was ready to be made. I don't know how people feel about this, but I think when Khan beat Alexander, Mayweather wanted nothing to do with Khan. I'm not saying Mayweather would have lost that fight, but I think he knew that was a risky fight because he won like
because of his
11 or
hand
12
speed.
rounds.
Because of his hand speed and his
Hand
length.
speed. Zab Judah, Alexander, these were good opponents. They can't make them look really ordinary. Mayweather ended up fighting Berto. I just think he
Yeah.
knew.
I think
That round,
Mayweather at that time, whenever he decided to fight someone, he didn't want any risks at all. Like if he thought, oh, I don't know, that could, even though everyone thought that he would win against Pacquiao or even Khan, he still wanted to wait until it's like at the lowest point, and so that
he he was more risk adverse to fighting
Yeah,
guys who were fast as opposed to guys who can punch.
yeah,
yeah,
He was more concerned about the speed of a fighter as opposed to how hard the guy punched.
because I think he saw that one against Zab Judah. Remember Beeps when
yeah,
Zab Judah got him and he knocked him down. I,
yeah.
I think that's what it was worried. That's why I think he didn't want to fight Pacquiao in early
Yeah, I think he was
2000
always concerned with Pacquiao's hand speed
speed.
or
Yeah, and
speed
then
or
when he
speed
started,
overall.
yeah, and then when he started slowing down, that's when he started. Yeah, okay, all right, I'll fight him now because
I could
yeah,
see
because
that.
yeah, but you know,
I think Pacquiao would have won. Sorry, in 2010 or 11. I don't know
no,
how
no,
many would
I
have kept him
disagree.
off. A
It
thousand
would have been a
punches.
great. It would have been a great fight because back then Pacquiao, he in 2015, you saw that Pacquiao didn't want to take risk either, because he was, he was damaged goods at that time. Whereas back in 2010, I think he would have like risked it all. Like I remember,
I think Pacquiao would have won because of this. Mayweather.
I don't think so. I think Mayweather won. But back then, Pacquiao took a risk. Like I remember when he fought like the Barreras, the Morales, and the Marquez, he would always empty his tank. He'd
Guys
always
like
empty it.
Margarito, yeah, guys like
We're-
Margarito, Cotto, these guys, Pacquiao was
yeah, yeah.
throwing over
Pacquiao would always
100
empty that
punches.
tank. Whereas when he fought him in 2015,
They
there
were
was still
both.
a
I
lot
think
left in that
they
tank. He
were
just
both
didn't want
past
to
their
empty
prime.
it.
I think they were both past their prime. I know Mayweather won
Yeah.
that fight, but they were both old. Like that was not really a great fight because they were both like way past their best years. But I think in 2010, Pacquiao would have probably outworked him, and I think he would have got the decision. I don't think he would have knocked him out like some people
Yeah,
say.
but Pacquiao
Maybe
struggles again. Hamed, Pacquiao always has struggled against counter punches.
no,
And
but
Marquez
that
wasn't
time
the fastest guy
that
in the world,
that's
and he
true. But
still struggled.
That time Mayweather was getting hurt by guys like Shane Mosley. He had
That's
one
true.
fight, I think Marquez. He was coming off long layoffs and he was not that active as well. And I think Pacquiao's speed would have troubled him because in that
Yeah, but
Cotto
the thing
fight,
is, Hamed, even though that Mayweather had long layoffs, if you saw that Mayweather Marquez fight, man, Mayweather looked really, really sharp. Like I could
Marquez
not
landed a
believe
couple of good shots on him, and Marquez had
only
one fight
once.
I
Yeah,
liked.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think it
but
was in the second round. It was only
but he,
once though. Like
but
it was.
he had one fight I liked to it. I don't know. Like Marquez did not acclimate to that weight. I think the Marquez that Bradley fought was a better version because he had knocked out Pacquiao, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think he was on PEDs. I
Yeah,
mean, we don't.
that was Marquez's first fight at welterweight.
And he had
When he
one
fought.
fight I liked to it. I still give Mayweather the credit because I think
No, he had a
Mayweather.
couple. Now he had a couple of fights at lower because he
No,
fought
no, he had one fight.
Casamayor and Juan
No, no,
Diaz
that
twice.
was one Diaz at lightweight in 2009, and then he doesn't fight Diaz again until after the Mayweather fight.
Yeah, and then
He had the
he
fight
fought Casamayor
Casamayor.
though.
That was at 130. 130. It wasn't
No,
135.
135. 135.
No, no, 130. Look, check.
No, because Casamayor was a lineal champ at 135, dude. They were fighting for his belt.
No,
If you look
Marquez
on
had.
if you look on BoxRec, it's at 135.
It was 130.
I don't know, man. I think that was at 135, dude. Because I remember Marquez knocked him out in the last round.
Let me double check. I'm pretty sure that
It's
Casamayor.
been-
That was before the Diaz fight.
Yeah, correct.
I think it was, 130. Because he fought Pacquiao before and he lost to him by split decision. Then he fought Casamayo, and that was that 12 round fight. I think that was a super featherweight. Then he fought Diaz lightweight, and I thought he was essentially losing that fight. I remember that was like a fight of the year candidate because that was in 2009, didn't it? But yeah, I don't know if it would have made much of a difference because Mayweather style wise was all wrong for Marquez.
Mayweather style wise was always
Yeah.
going to present problems to this guy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I understand that it kind of did benefit Mayweather by waiting because Pacquiao's style was a lot more physically taxing on him
Correct.
than Mayweather's style was to him. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, man.
Yeah,
But
it's
Bibbs,
all
that-
hypothetical. Then.
Yeah, but Bibbs, in 2010, I do, or 11 even, I do think that Pacquiao would have emptied his tank. He would have he would
Would have been a
gone
better
out
fight.
Floyd.
It definitely
Yeah.
would have been a better fight, in my opinion.
But I think Floyd would still, because of his footwork, his quickness, I think he would still be able to evade Pacquiao and make him miss and pot shot Pacquiao.
Yeah,
Even
I could see that. I could see that. The only thing was when Pacquiao beat guys like Margarito and Clottey, and I know some of these guys obviously not.
I was
not
at
the
that
same
fight
level.
actually, Hamid. I went to that
Bloody.
Pacquiao fight in Dallas.
I've never rewatched that fight because it was so boring.
Yeah,
but
me neither.
Pacquiao did look really good when he was throwing like over 1,000 punches and over
Yeah.
100 punches around. I just don't know how Mayweather would have kept him off him. And Mayweather got hurt by Mosley. And then when he came back against Ortiz, the knockout, he got the knockout. He let his hands go, but he was getting touched up.
Yeah, but
I don't-
but Hamed, against Pacquiao, I don't think Mayweather would take that risk as what he did to Mosley, because
But he wouldn't have been able to win rounds by just
I
throwing.
think he would have still would have just counter punched him, pot shot him, used his legs, make him miss.
I think if Mayweather fought him after the Margarito fight, I probably would have picked Mayweather. I think after the Margarito fight, Pacquiao was never the same. I just
Hamed,
think when
the only
when he's in
time
his
I
prime.
would pick Pacquiao to win against Floyd was maybe at 130, because
yeah, I get that.
at 130, if Pacquiao's power was compared to
Yeah,
Mayweather's power, it was,
Yeah.
and Pacquiao was really fast at 132. And Floyd probably wasn't as strong at 130 because he had a bigger frame. So I think he may have been because I remember when Pacquiao beat Morales the third time, a lot of people were asking for that Pacquiao Mayweather fight at 130. But then Floyd went to 135 and fought Castillo because I think he just beat Diego Corrales at 130. And then Pacquiao
The
beat
Morales
Morales.
fight was after. Morales fight was in 2005, and then 2006 was the
Yeah, the
rematch.
trilogy after the trilogy.
I think Mayweather was already a lightweight. I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm
he may have
saying.
been-
Yeah.
It was that junior welterweight, sorry, because he beat Gatti in 2005. I remember talking about that fight in 2008 after the rematch with Marquez, because I was still in school and high school, and I remember saying that I think Mayweather might be too big for him. But that time Pacquiao only had one, I think, had one fight at lightweight. I think after against David Diaz.
Yes.
I was so wrong on my Mayweather Pacquiao prediction because I thought that Mayweather was going to set a trap similar to how Marquez set a trap for him, and I thought he was going to knock him out with a right hand. And I was so wrong in that position. In that bet. I actually ended up betting Mayweather with the stoppage.
Yeah, but
proposition.
Bibbs, Pacquiao was very careful too. He wasn't just gonna lunge in like that wasn't the pack.
Well, you say that, but you don't know for sure.
Because Bibbs, when he fought Marquez the fourth time, it was still the old Pacquiao where he would lunge in, and you know what I mean. Even though he didn't do it as often, because I remember when he fought Bradley the first time, Pacquiao wasn't lunging in at all. Like he was trying to outbox him. But I don't think that was the Pacquiao of old. I'm talking about the Miguel Cotto Pacquiao, the Ricky Hatton. That was the dangerous one.
Pacquiao did hurt Mayweather though in one of those rounds. But
he hurt him with a left hand. Let me address this super chat from Rafael 32, $2 super chat says, thank you so much for that. He says, why all the heavyweights? Why wait? All the heavyweights are old. Wilder is 40. Well, he's like 37 or something like that. No, he's like 30. He's like 37. He's being kind of facetious here. But here's the thing, man. Why add wear and tear to your body? Why not just wait to the end? And this whole thing about being active, I get it, but there's a double-edged sword to that. If you're too active, remember when Canelo had fought like 4 times in a
Yeah, I remember.
1 year period, and he had to take a break. He got burnt
Yeah,
burnt
his
out.
elbow. He had his
Yeah.
elbow. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, I think he hurt his wrist.
Or wrist, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Canelo's
But,
had knee injuries before. He's got a bad knee. He's got bad wrist. I think he hurt. What else did he? Did he hurt his shoulder too? He's got a lot of injuries, man, from wear and tear over the years.
Canelo's had a lot of wars, man. Like he took a beating against Mayweather. I mean, that would have taken a bit out of him. He took a look. He didn't.
Mentally.
Oh, you
Yeah,
think you think he took a beating against Mayweather though?
Yeah, man. Like I don't know. Mayweather at one point, I think it was like round 8 or round 9. Mayweather had like 20
on the ropes.
unanswered punches. Like it wasn't even. Canelo was just like
That
he
was
like in
such
survival mode.
people really to me, I think anyways, I think people really downplay how good of a performance that was from Mayweather. This was a guy who was 36 years old fighting a guy 24. Now here's where the double standards come into play. Devin Haney on the flip side, 24, fighting a guy like Lomachenko, and he wasn't inexperienced. He showed a strong resolve in that fight. He showed the ability to make adjustments and adapt in that fight, right? We seen Teofimo Lopez do the same thing in his fight with Lomachenko, his fight with Josh Taylor. These guys are young too, but they were
I
fighting.
think the Devanini comparison is better because Tio did have a more amateur background where Canelo and Devanini both turned pro really young. I think Devanini turned pro at 17 and Canelo turned pro at 15. I think that is a very good comparison. But I agree.
That's true. I think you're right there, Hamid. I think you.
No, but the thing I don't get when people say Mayweather fought the old De La Hoya and then they don't give him credit for the Canelo fight, that's where I think people are not being fair. Because
Hamid, the reason is because I was at that fight, right? I was in Las Vegas. Everyone thought that Mayweather was going to win, right? No one in their right mind.
But the odds were close, little Penny. The odds were close, and there were a few people picking.
Yeah, that's because of the Mexican, the last minute Mexican money, right? But
be careful with that. But go ahead.
But
which fight do you talk about?
The Mayweather Canelo, right? But the reason why Mayweather doesn't get a lot of credit for that is because it was at a catch weight, and it didn't need to be. Because
I didn't like
154, we would have dominated him anyway, right? He still made it a catch weight. Like, why, dude? Why?
I fucking hate catch weights.
It was no need.
Do you think that
it was a linear fight too?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that had more of an effect. But do you think that fight could be compared to Pacquiao's fight with Cotto? Because that was also at a catchweight. I don't agree with that sentiment because Canelo, I think, was boiling down much.
Well, here's the difference. Here's the difference. You know, Cotto really was affected by the catchweight, in my opinion, at least, and I'll tell you why. He immediately went up to 154 after that fight. Yeah, immediately. You know,
he did, but Cotto did have the WBA belt when he beat Clotty, right? And it wasn't like at 150, 142.
Was it the WBA? Was it the WBA or was it WBO? It was WBO.
I remember
Pacquiao
Pacquiao was coming up from like welterweight, and he was for the WBO because Clotty got dropped.
That was WBO.
I thought Clotty might have beaten Cotto that fight. I remember Cotto had a bad cut. But they had the Pacquiao fight lined up, and I remember watching that because that was.
I thought Cotto eked it out, but a lot of people did have that fight.
Yeah,
a lot of people.
But also, another difference between those two fights: Pacquiao finished off Cotto, and it was a very exciting fight. Whereas Mayweather, he did not finish off Canelo, and it wasn't a very exciting fight. That's the difference. Like if you look at the Mayweather Pacquiao Cotto on YouTube, that fight, it will have like 20 million views. Whereas if you look at Mayweather Canelo fight, it may only have 2 million views because it was a boring fight. I was there. Canelo didn't throw any punches. I was there.
What about the undercard though? That was a good undercard. You had Lucas Matisse
Oh
and
yeah,
That was a
definitely.
great. That was a great fight. That was a great
That's
fight.
why that pay-per-view
That,
bids
that's
had
another one. That's
it did
another one.
2.4 million
I picked
pay-per-view
Danny
buys.
That's
Garcia.
another
but
one. I
wanted
picked.
Matisse
I
to win.
picked Danny Garcia that one. Guess what I got there? Almost 4-1 in that one.
I got Matisse.
I was
in that
surprised
one. I
Matisse
picked
was
Matisse
favourite.
in that one.
People,
I
people,
wanted Matisse to win.
people keep forgetting about my classic picks over the years.
Dude,
I never get-
Matisse was on fire at that time, man. Like everyone thought that it was gonna, and Matisse was knocking every guy
But
guy
Danny
out.
Garcia had a
I
chin.
thought Danny. I thought
couldn't see-
Danny. I thought Danny was too crafty.
Yeah, I thought Danny Garcia could adapt. Where Matisse, I thought he was a bit. I don't know if one-dimensional is the right word, but like fights against Abdul and Devon Alexander, those were close fights. And
No
some people
one's
thought,
no one's ever really dominated Danny Garcia in a fight. Like even in fights he loses,
I
he's
thought
still.
Spence did.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, you can argue, but how'd you score that? Like 8-4?
I had that 9-9-9-3. I thought you could go
Okay.
10-2.
All right, fair enough. I thought he showed a little bit of competitiveness in spots in that fight, but I understand. Okay.
The Thurman
You did
fight, I don't
see-
think was as close to. I thought Thurman won 8 to 9 rounds in that fight.
Yeah,
I thought
I had Thurman win that fight. I think Eric thought Danny Garcia did beat Thurman.
I can't see that. I don't know how
But,
that judge had
but
it.
the problem with Danny Garcia is in every of his big fights, he loses. He lost to
Yeah,
Thurman.
I will-
Well,
lost to Spence.
at least at welterweight, he lost his big fights. I'm not going to say he lost his big fights at
Yeah, junior
at-
welterweight, he was really.
He was-
The
he was a
Porter
great-
fight
he was
was
a-
close.
Yeah, he was a great. The Porter fight was very close.
That could have been
Khan
a
fight too. Khan annihilated Amir Khan.
Khan had
Although Khan was winning that fight, though, another
Yeah,
fight
Khan-
that Khan was winning.
Khan, I thought Khan was ready to take him out on cuts, but he tried knocking him out, didn't he? Because I think the
Yeah,
Mayweather
that's the
fight
problem with Khan is because he falls in
doesn't
love
use
with
his brain. In.
he falls in love with his own. He's a victim of his own success. Like when he starts getting like success early, where he's connecting, he then tries to, which is good for the fans, by the way,
Not good
because
for
it's an
him.
exciting fight, but not good for him. You know what I mean? But look, I can't complain because I have never seen a boring Amir Khan fight.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
one
No.
guy
Never.
where, and he took on, except for Kell Brook, he took on everybody. He wasn't.
That
he
Kotelnik
didn't
win is
knock
underrated.
anybody.
You know that Kotelnik win, I think is really underrated because Kotelnik had beaten Maidana. I know that was a
Devin
controversial-
Alexander too. Devin Alexander was.
I
a-
know,
he-
yeah.
Kotelnik's a solid fighter, man. Yeah, he's good.
He
beat
beat
Gavin
Diaz as
Reese
well.
down.
The Argentinian Diaz also another
Yeah.
good victory.
He came Cardiff and beat up Gavin Reese before I think Adrian Broner fought Gavin Reese. And he, I think, should have got the decision against Kotelnik against Devin Alexander.
Yeah.
I don't think he fought after that calf fight. But going back to Canelo, do you think Canelo Andrade is a better fight than Canelo Charlo? Because Andrade has actually fought.
Andrade will stink the joint out, dude.
No, but
Yeah, I'm
Andrade
not
has
a-
fought at super middleweight.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of
I'm not a big fan as well, but I'm saying he's been more active and he's fought at the weight.
No, Andrade
Charlo
will
was
stink
not.
the joint out. I don't
I mean,
think
that's-
Canelo will entertain that fight.
That's a fair.
Charlo-
That's a fair.
Charlo
That's a
has not
fair
fought,
point.
though.
That's a
That's
fair
my
point.
problem. I don't know if Charlo is ready to go in straight to the Canelo fight. If it
I would-
happens, I think
I would love if it ends up being David Benavidez and not
in
Charlo.
September. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would fucking love that.
No tune-up, nothing. Just go in.
I would
And
love
if-
that.
And you know
I
what?
would. I would love that if that was the case.
And then if it's a controversial fight, we can have a rematch between Canelo and Benavidez
Yeah.
too in May.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
hope-
the fight to make.
I do hope that fight is still on the table. I do.
You know,
It could
every great fighter has like a trilogy. Like Pacquiao's got one, Morales has got one, Barrera's got one.
Canelo got one.
De La
with
Hoya,
Golovkin.
I don't think De La Hoya's got one, but a lot of these great fighters, I think Chavez had one too. Leonard, Hagler, they had all trilogies. Canelo doesn't have a trilogy. Like he doesn't really have
He's
that.
got
like-
one with Golovkin.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yes, you're right. Yeah, he
Please,
does have
please,
one.
please, little Penny.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. Okay. All right. But the only thing, you know what, Beeps, with the Golovkin fight, those 3 fights, even though they were good competitive fights, especially the first 2,
Third one wasn't competitive. I
No,
didn't. Well,
no,
they
it wasn't. It
it was
wasn't. It's not a
scored.
fight.
It was scored as it was competitive. I didn't think it was,
Yeah,
but
I
it will
think the
be.
third
But
one.
Bibbs, any those
Third
two
one.
fights, especially, I don't think I got off my feet. You know what I mean? Like to
I don't think
like
the first fight was that good. I think the second one was a fight of the year candidate, but I don't think the first fight was that. I don't think the first fight was great. It was a good fight, high class fight between two elite middleweights, but I thought the rematch was one of the best fights I've seen at middleweight for a long time. Where the third fight, I think, was one of the worst fights, and I don't think that was a competitive fight. I think maybe you could give Golovkin 2 or 3 rounds, but I know some people who had Canelo winning 11 rounds in that fight. Those scorecards were, I think, really bad in the third fight.
it's interesting. Also, Golovkin hasn't fought since that Canelo fight.
I think he's done. He's basically vacated all his belts. I think he's probably going to retire, but I will be interested to see what Canelo does next. Because if he fights Charlo, then I think Benavidez maybe might have to fight Morel, and I don't know if that's a given fight. I think
Nah, nah, that's not going to happen, Hamed. Benavidez is not going near David Morrell. Knowing that he has the Canelo fight up on the horizon, he might fight him after Canelo, but not beforehand. No way. It's too risky. He'll just wait it out, man. Just wait until May. Because if Charlo can wait 2 years, I'm sure Benavidez can wait 1 year for the Canelo.
I don't know if the Charlo fight's happening next, man. I got a feeling until I see it's official. I got a feeling maybe this is just a ploy because Charlo and Andrade were on Instagram trying to negotiate a fight between
don't be
themselves.
surprised if that Benavidez fight still happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first, yeah, I wouldn't, yeah. Because if I was Charlo, if I was Jamal Charlo, and I want to beat Canelo, there's no way I'm gonna fight him next. I've been out 2 years. I would want to fight. What's it called? A tune-up fight on the Canelo Benavidez undercard, and then I as Jamal Charlo, then I will fight him in May. That way, at least I have one fight under my belt just to get myself acclimated. I'm not gonna fight him straight away. 2 years, man. I would be. Dude, it'll take me like 4 rounds just to get my rust off, and by then Canelo's already up 6 rounds, even though it's on the fourth round. Like I have to win the next. The next.
Yeah. I get you. I think
what I mean?
Charlo should fight planned. Charlo should fight planned to Andrade if Canelo fight Benavidez because
No, probably Plant. No, not Andrade.
That-
Andrade's too risky, man. Like, because he
no,
might.
no, but if Canelo fights Benavidez and Charlo's not getting the fight, I don't know because Charlo was saying to Andrade he doesn't want to move up to super middleweight. I know for Canelo he would because of the money, but fight with maybe Andrade. I don't know that. I don't know, but then again, Andrade's a super middleweight as well, though, isn't it? That's the thing. These guys, I think they all should have just fought each other. That's the problem
Yeah.
with a lot of these fighters, because they're all waiting for that Canelo payday. But if the Benavidez fight happens, I think 2023 will have been a really good year because
Oh yeah.
at the beginning I didn't think it was a great year, but then
July 29, man. We're gonna get the Bud Crawford Errol Spence
Yeah.
fight.
in
Who
New York,
are you picking in that fight?
I've always favored Crawford. You talk
I
about
get
the Spence
Crawford.
fight.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Crawford should win, but I don't think it's.
Biebs going for Spence. You going for Spence, right, Biebs?
No, I'm going for
said
Crawford.
Oh yeah, I'm going for Crawford as well.
I
I'm a
want
big-
Crawford to win as well, but I think it is a very tough fight.
Yeah,
But for Spence, I am a bit surprised he's taken this fight after, what is it, like a 15 or 16-month layoff? Because I
Yeah.
thought he would have fought Thurman, but I'm glad that Thurman fight's not because I think Thurman's washed up.
Yeah, he is washed up.
It's not
Pacquiao
a
washed
fight.
him up.
Yeah, it's not a fight that I think people wanted to see after what happened with Pacquiao. But if they fought in 2017 or 2018 when
I mean,
Spence-
Pacquiao was super washed up when he fought Thurman, right?
yeah,
And he still beat him.
and he beat him decisively.
That's a mark of a legend when you know you are super washed up and you beat an undefeated welterweight, right?
Yeah.
That's when you know you're great.
I picked Pacquiao in that fight because I thought Thurman almost got knocked out by Lopez, and he didn't look that great. He didn't look
Yeah,
that
he's
great
pretty
against Lopez. That's why I picked Pacquiao in that fight. But I think Thurman and Spence would have been a good fight to make in 2017. when Spence beat Brock and Thurman had beaten Danny Garcia, that time
Yeah,
they should have
I
made that
agree.
fight. That would have been
Yeah,
a really good fight.
yeah. I reckon Thurman would have beaten Spence at that
Yeah.
time. Thurman,
I
man,
could
he
see
was
that.
killing everyone at that time.
He was beating good fighters like Porter, Danny Garcia.
Yeah.
He had also beaten guys like Robert Guerrero decisively. Like I don't know what happened to his career. I know he got injured a couple of times, but back then I think Thurman would have had obviously a better chance, but he would have maybe had a chance to have actually beaten Spence. Right now, I think
What the fuck is Thurman doing right now, man? It's crazy, bro.
Playing the flute.
they talk about the Jaron Ennis fight, but Jaron Ennis is fighting Ruben Villa. Is it Ruben Villa or is it, I'm getting his first name mixed up?
I actually said this a year ago. Boots NSV, he better be careful. He might be the next Andrade because he hasn't fought anyone at all. Like it's like at least Virgil Ortiz has fought he fought Stan Jonas, right? He's fought he's at least a somebody. Whereas Boots,
Ortiz has fought better fighters, I think.
like
Let's let the almighty fight doctor get in here, man. I gotta hear what his opinion on this latest move is. Go ahead, sir.
Yo, Fight Doctor's in the house on Rick James status as always. Good morning, afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Good morning.
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, Pacquiao cherry picked Keith Thurman. All right, that was a cherry pick. All right, let's be honest. All right?
I love the fight doctor's takes. He's the best. Go ahead.
And here's why. Thurman, if you look at, all right, so Thurman had been off. He had the layoff. He had the surgery. And who was it that he fought running up to the Pacquiao fight? I forget the guy. The Josecito Lopez coming up from 140 in a fight where Thurman did not exactly look stellar. He looked past it. So yeah, that was a cherry pick.
But then Pacquiao was like 40 years old at that time, man. Like it should be the other way around. Like it should be Thurman that cherry picked.
Penny loves Pacquiao, man.
Yeah, well, we all love Pacquiao. Okay, he was a pay-per-view monster, and in his prime, in his heyday, he was must-see TV. I watched all of Pacquiao fights. All right. However, we have to call a spade, and unfortunately, there's a few fights on his resume that I think he went to go see the cherry tree and picked a couple of cherries. Okay, it just is what it is, and the Keith Thurman fight was one of those fights. What
about after he fought Thurman, he was going to fight Bud, what's his name? Errol Spence. Is that a cherry pick?
No, no, that was a very dangerous fight. And look, I give Pacquiao a lot of credit for taking the Cuban guy,
Ugas.
Ugas. That was a good fight. Yeah,
that was a dangerous fight, and Pacquiao deserves a lot of credit for taking that fight because Ugas was no joke. So I mean, look, I don't want to discredit the entirety of Pacquiao's career. I mean, he did take some good fights. The first Morales fight, all right, even though Morales was past it, he was still a legend and still very dangerous, and he fought him.
Pacquiao was considered too small at that time because it was coming up from 126 to 130. I remember that. Yeah, and also he wasn't fighting with his own gloves too. He was fighting with not Cleats Torres, the other one. I can't remember what's the other glove's name.
I don't remember. I think it was a Japanese brand, if I'm not mistaken. But
I
don't
recall.
Yeah, I don't recall. But he was wearing some off-brand of gloves, and that was one of the excuses for why he lost the first Morales fight. Which he lost the first Morales fight because Morales is the better fighter. Period. End of story.
But when he wore his actual gloves the second fight, that's when Pacquiao knocked him out, and no one has knocked out Morales before.
Okay,
this is a little penny running interference.
But again, here we go with the cherry picking because the Morales rematch, in my mind, was a cherry pick because Morales
he lost to Morales. How could it be a cherry pick?
Well, Morales had moved up to 35, right? Lost to Zahir Rahim, I think the guy's name is.
That's correct.
And Pacquiao, instead of fighting Rahim, he fights Morales coming off a loss?
Because it's a bigger pay-per-view fight. Like who the hell is Raheem? Like, why
Well,
would
he was the
fight?
guy who had just outboxed the
You
legend
gotta avenge your loss,
Eric Morales.
man. It's like Canelo not fighting Bivol again. Like, that's not good.
But here's the problem with Pacquiao's career is that when you put it under a microscope, you see all these instances where guys are coming off of losses. For instance, let's take Miguel Cotto. Right, he was coming off. He had just been bludgeoned by
but he won against
Texas, the
Florida.
Tijuana Tornado.
Margarito,
So there are all these examples.
Yeah, but
Shane Mosley fight.
Cotto was coming off a win though, because he beat Claudy after that fight.
But it doesn't detract from he was one fight removed from having been knocked out by the Tijuana Loaded Gloves Tornado, right? and it also does not detract from the fact that it was a catchweight fight.
Yeah, but also Pacquiao is not a welterweight. He's like a featherweight coming up to welterweight. So you got to take that into account too.
Yeah, okay. I mean, all right. It's.
But Cotto rehydrated to like 158 pounds in that fight, right? Pacquiao only rehydrated to 148.
But if you're going
difference.
But I'm agreeing with you, right? I'm not disagreeing with you. However, if you're going to fight a guy at a catch weight, then you have to accept the criticism that comes along with it. Just like, look, earlier you guys were talking about Mayweather Alvarez, and Mayweather, I'm 100% in agreement. Mayweather should have fought Alvarez at 154. That way, there would be no excuses. But he elected to fight it at 152, so now he has a built-in excuse.
Fight doctor. The reason why I'll tell you what. The reason why Pacquiao didn't get a lot of criticism for the Miguel Cotto fight at a catchweight is because the catchweight at that time was justified because Cotto was fighting at welterweight at the time, and Pacquiao was only 1 year removed from being at lightweight and 6 months removed from fighting at super featherweight. So for him to ask for 145, at that time it was like, okay, we see that, and the way Pacquiao beat Cotto, it's like people forget that catchweight. Whereas with Mayweather, he didn't finish off Canelo, right, who was 23 years old. That's why like people would like remember him for that for being a catchweight. That to me, that's the reason why. Because sometimes the way you defeat a fighter, that matters.
Well, yeah, okay, and I agree. You are absolutely positively right. The way you defeat a fighter matters, and having a catch weight figures into that equation of how you defeat a fighter, right?
Yeah.
And what really, in my mind, sort of undermines or delegitimizes the Pacquiao argument as far as the catch weight in the Cotto fight is concerned is that Pacquiao spent, he essentially moved up to 147 and campaigned there for some years. So if you're going to fight at 147, then why did you need a catch weight for this one particular guy? Look, he went as high as he even fought in the junior middleweight division. So why did you need a catch weight? Listen, I remember the Cotto fight, and Cotto was a heavy favorite. Everyone thought that Cotto was gonna lay Pacquiao out, right? And the way in which Pacquiao handled Cotto strongly suggests to me the catch weight was unnecessary. He would have beaten Cotto at 147. No question in my mind, right?
I think Cotto would have lasted. I don't think at the full 147. I think Cotto would have lasted. I don't think Pacquiao would have knocked him. And also when he hit Pacquiao in the ear in the third round at the full 147, I reckon that would have hurt Pacquiao. I'm not saying that Pacquiao would have gone down or anything, because Miguel Cotto busted his eardrum. If you look at the post-fight press conference, Pacquiao had it was like a mummy because of the eardrum. Like it busted him, and you could see in his ear was swollen, right? Because Pacquiao caught him with a left hook. I think in the third or the fourth round, I can't remember. I think at 147, at the full 147, where Cotto would probably rehydrate to now from being 158 maybe to 162, 161. I reckon that would have hurt Pacquiao. I'm not saying that that Miguel would have won. I think Miguel would have lasted to the 12th round, and it would have been like an 8-4 type of a fight, 7-5 maybe, rather than a KO to Pacquiao.
I don't know. I just think stylistically, Pacquiao presents a lot of problems for Cotto, and that, in my mind, the weight really wouldn't have mattered. Pacquiao would have beat him anyway. It's just having watched the fight and seeing how dominant Pacquiao was, especially early in the fight. It just, in my mind, I think that the weight issue would not have played a factor had it been.
But Fight Doctor, a year and a half before that, when he fought Marquez the second time at 130, where even though he won the fight, he struggled. I wouldn't have thought at that time that he would go up to 147 and beat Pacquiao, and beat Cotto like that, especially after he struggled against Marquez. And also Cotto, he's a really good boxer too, he's a highly underrated boxer as well. Like he gave Mayweather some fits at 154. In fact, I think Cotto broke his nose.
Yeah, Cotto put up a good fight against Mayweather
at 154. Yeah. So, but a year and a half before he fought Cotto, Pacquiao was fighting Marquez at 130. And he struggled. I'm not saying. I did think that Pacquiao did enough to win, but no one would have thought that a year and a half later he would go up to 147 and beat up Cotto like that.
Well, I think you need to. I think we all need to recognize and give some credit to the supplements.
Oh, come on, man. Don't
that Pacquiao was using. He was using some very good supplements.
He didn't have Memo Heredia, man. He had, what's his name? Alex Ariza. He's clean, dude.
Okay. Listen, the man has never failed a drug test to my knowledge.
Never.
Right.
And you know what, Fight Doctor? He's actually been tested more than Mayweather. That's a fact.
Okay.
In terms of like drug testing, Pacquiao has been tested more than Floyd.
All right. Well, listen, here's what I know. Two things. First is that the man has never failed a drug test. That's the first thing I know. All right. To my knowledge.
That's a fact.
Second thing I know is that Olympic style drug testing is the excuse given as to why the Mayweather fight could not happen for 5 years. So
No. Fight Doctor, 2011, Pacquiao already agreed to that.
Okay.
That's been confirmed by HBO. The president of HBO, I can't remember his name anymore, but he did say that.
Ken Hirschman?
No, the other guy, his predecessor. If you
Ross Greenberg?
Yeah, maybe it was him. Yeah. Because if you watch the At Last documentary, they actually tried to make that fight out 2011 because Pacquiao had already agreed to Mayweather's drug protocol, but Floyd did. But Floyd, I think he said, okay, let's fight, but I'll offer him 40 million flat fee. And then Pacquiao said, no, I don't think so, man. It's because at that time, the fight was 50-50. Or maybe Pacquiao was willing to concede 45-55 in favor of Floyd. But Floyd didn't want to offer him a percentage of the pay-per-view. He wanted to offer him a flat fee of 40 million, right? So obviously Pac said no. And then in 2012, they tried to do it again, but then Pacquiao got KO'd by Marquez, so that got postponed again. And then Floyd left HBO, went to Showtime. So that's even another bridge that you have to cross. And then by 2015, then they decided to fight.
Yeah. Well,
Let's let Anthony jump in real quick. What's up, Anthony?
Hey guys, what's up? How are you today?
Good.
Hey Penny, what's up?
Hey Anthony, what's up?
Yeah. I'm actually watching you guys from my vacation. We're in the DR right now. So
What's the deal?
Congratulations. Dominican Republic.
No, and
Dominican
honestly,
Republic.
I agree with you. To be honest, what's going to happen eventually, I'm going to say this. I think Showtime is going to realize too that there's not really a ton of money in boxing. They're going to move out. They're going to let
Yes.
ESPN deal with that headache.
Yeah.
So I think Showtime is going to leave the sport of boxing like HBO did in the
agree.
early 2000s. Fight Doctor, do you agree? Or am
I
I?
agree. No, I agree with you.
Yeah,
Once
I guess
Showtime.
anything is possible. I mean, we've seen HBO bow out, so anything is possible. You know,
Yeah,
I don't
Once
know
no,
if
it's
you
Showtime-
guys-
too much of a headache. Like,
What
you guys
about the
have to
zone?
agree.
You think the zone's going to be around in a couple of years, or what's going on with them?
No, I think the zone's gonna go out of business. I don't trust Eddie for some reason. I do not trust Eddie Hearn. I don't know why that is, but I don't trust him to make. He's not a smart businessman like his father is. Because
Okay.
I read somewhere where the zone almost went out of business. Matchroom almost went out of business 3 times with Eddie in charge and stuff like that. If it wasn't for the zone thing, they would have gone out of business like 3 years ago.
He would have stayed with Sky if it didn't have the zone.
No, that's what I'm saying. He screwed up that Sky Sports deal, is what I'm saying.
Because he
Okay.
went to the zone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
too much about all that, but I'm sure all these promotional companies have their challenges or have had their challenges, so we'll see.
Joe. Speaking of like promotional companies, did you know that Top Rank was supposed to buy? Top Rank was that strong of a company in 1995. Did you know that they were supposed to buy out the Minnesota Timberwolves? That they were the front runner, but David Stern knocked off the deal because Bob Arum had just too many. He has a history, like with boxing, because David Stern wanted owners that have
A clean image.
clean skin. Yeah, correct. But they were the front runner. They had the money to buy the Minnesota Timberwolves. Top Rank.
Did not know that.
No, and the whole Manny Pacquiao fight, you guys brought it up a few minutes ago before I jumped on. The question is, why is it an excuse from Floyd's fans to the reason why that fight took so long, that Manny wasn't taking didn't want to take the Olympic drug testing, or was that a legitimate thing?
Now, Anthony, I admit Pacquiao did say after the Cotto fight, he did say he didn't want to take Olympic drug testing because he was scared of needles, right? But by 2011, he did agree to it. Yes, I'll take Olympic drug testing. But Floyd, he wanted instead of being a 50-50 fight on pay-per-view, he wanted to offer Manny 40 million flat fee. And that's something that Manny would never agree to, because the fight of that magnitude, you need a share of the pay-per-view revenue. And then the following year, when they tried to make it again, Pacquiao fought Marquez the 4th time and got knocked out, right? So obviously that fight's not going to happen. And then a year after that, Floyd went to Showtime. He's no longer on HBO. So it's like now you're dealing with two networks. And in fact, it was the president of ABC, I think, who owned Showtime at the time. He had to step in. I can't remember his name, but he had to step in and like negotiate the deal between those two, and then it finally happened, because also HBO didn't want to just let Manny Pacquiao go. There was a dual pay-per-view it was a dual pay-per-view between HBO and Showtime.
Yeah, no, and let's be honest. I don't blame either person for the fight not happening. It's just at the time it was supposed to happen. I don't blame either guy. Like let's be honest. And people will bring this up. How is Manny scared of needles if he has so many tattoos and stuff like that?
No, Anthony. I've also gotten the flu shot every year, right? And I have to like prepare myself mentally because I'm afraid of needles, even though I've had it every single year.
I love when Penny runs interference for Pacquiao.
No, also, Biebs, it's actually Mayweather's fault that Pacquiao's legacy is that good, because had Floyd had Floyd fought Pacquiao in 2010 or 2011, I've always thought they was going to beat Manny, right? It would have derailed his legacy to the point where, maybe they could have had a rematch. Floyd would have won that too, right? Now it's like Pacquiao's pay-per-views would have probably have gone down instead of gone up. So it's actually Floyd's fault that Pacquiao's legacy is this good. It's because he didn't fight him in their primes. And had he and everyone thought, look, no one knew that Pacquiao was going to win against Mayweather at that time. Even like Beebs, had they fought in 2010 or 2011, who do you think would have won that fight? Pacquiao, Mayweather?
I always thought Mayweather was going to win that fight.
See, yeah, I thought that too. And I'm a Filipino. I thought that too. Most Filipinos actually, if you actually ask them, they would probably say Floyd would have won that fight.
No, for me, I have it the other way. I thought Manny would have won that fight because of the fact that Manny is a combination. Floyd struggled with certain types of fighters, and Manny had that style that would cause serious issues for Floyd. To be honest, he's a great boxer. He has power, and at the time he was in his prime and stuff like that. Manny was a good boxer and had a ton of power. So I think that would have caused serious issues for Floyd. You guys agree?
No,
Possibly.
No.
Let's
Listen. If you look at that first fight between Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez, that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
the fact is, a guy like Manny Pacquiao was tailor-made for Floyd. Okay, it's just, I mean, listen, had that fight happened in 2009, 2010, Floyd would have stopped Manny Pacquiao. No,
I don't agree with that. No, he wouldn't have.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with that whole situation. Floyd was getting older too, and he wasn't 100% either. Suleiman, what's up, brother?
Yeah, how you doing? How you doing? Yeah, it's nice to having me on. I think that's good that Canelo signed up with PBC. That way he could fight better opponents. Obviously, he could build better skill. I think he could move to the next level. Plus, if Spence wins against Crawford, they're gonna probably put that fight with him. He's gonna make that fight because
wait, Canelo would have to move all the way down to 147.
No,
no. Spencer's gonna move up to 160, man. Everybody knows it, and he don't have to add weight. He don't have to add weight because he's big. He's gonna hydrate. Because as happened before, Emil Griffith did it. Emil Griffith was a welterweight champion, and he went and became middleweight champion, and he really didn't have to make the weight. Basically, he made the one. He trained like he was training at 147, and then he rehydrated and fought the guy and beat the guy at 160. So all this has happened before. Everybody's acting like wow, like the people is going to Mars at this time, but it's happened before, man. Guys were lightweights, they became welterweight champions. Guys were welterweight champions, they became middleweight champions. It's happened before. I remember when I said, "Oh, Devin Haney should move up to 147 and fight the winner of Errol Spence, Terrence Crum." People was like, "Oh no, that's not possible." But it's happened before. Durant did it. Multiple champions did it, and even Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley was an IBF champion, and he beat Philip Holiday, a guy that throws 1,000,000 punches per round. That 300 or 400 punches per round, and he beat him and became the IPF champion and fought Oscar de la Hoya.
But Suleiman, you brought up Roberto Duran a few seconds ago. That was a different era. They didn't have the 140
Yeah, I know.
division.
Everybody's saying the same song and dance. The same song and dance. I hear it from all the podcasts. They wanna. Everybody's like against Devin Haney, but I don't know what it is. Like they get jock itch or something with Devin Haney. But Devin Haney is a great fighter, a very accomplished fighter. He's young. He started at 16 years old. He wasn't an Olympian, but he fought in the Mexican circuit and was kicking people's asses. And remember, he was a WBC champion. He had the email belt, and he was knocking out dudes. He was fighting guys like Gamboa. He was fighting guys like Linares. He was fighting guys like that. Then all of a sudden he's undisputed. And people tend to forget those defenses, man. That's bullshit, bro. When he was the WBC champion, he was fighting all those dudes. Now all of a sudden he's undisputed, and all that he is Camboso. If Camboso right now, right, lands that left hook, any of those guys, he almost knocked out Teofimo, bro, with the left hand. Okay, so and the thing is that Devin Haney wasn't letting him touch him with that left. Okay, but don't be sleeping on Camboso. Camboso could still become a world champion, man. If he vacates, he will get.
So sorry, just going back to your Canelo comment, I don't think Canelo's going back to 160. I think if
he's not gonna fight at 160, he's gonna stay at 168.
I reckon that's gonna go up. Suleiman, I reckon that Spence Canelo fight, if that happens, right?
You seen the size of Spence, man? You seen the size of Spence?
164.
Listen, man, forget about the catch weights, man. There's not gonna be no more catch weights. That's bullshit, bro. All they gotta do is tell Canelo, I fuck off. I'm not doing no catch weights. The problem that everybody's doing is because they're salivating for the money. Like Caleb Plant, he got $10 million for that fight. Caleb man made more money in that fight than anything. But if a guy he does that shit to everyone's gonna laugh at him, bro. Everyone's gonna say, I'm not doing no catch weights. Fuck you and fuck your catch weights, bro. Simple as that. You know what I'm saying? Like he tried to do that to Badu Jack. Badu Jack wasn't having it. That's what I like about
Can Canelo make 160? Like he hasn't been at 160 for like.
Listen, man, you're not listening to me, bro. He's gonna fight at 168, bro. He's not gonna fight.
That's what I'm saying.
He's gonna go to 168. Sugar Leonard fought Danny Lalonde at 168 and fought for 2 championships at the same time. And Danny Lalonde was crazy big. He made him go down to 168 and he knocked his ass out. And he even dropped. Danny Lalonde even dropped Sugar Ray, and Sugar Ray was able to acclimate and adjust to that weight level. This guy's still at that level, bro. There's guys at this era that are at that level, and Spence is that guy. Spencer's that guy. Devin Haney's that guy. Okay, Devin Haney was able to acclimate. He was able to acclimate in that fight with Lomachenko. Lomachenko was letting him touch him with the jab. He neglected. He negated his jab. He made him go body attack, and he still won the fight. He's like an Andre Ward type of fighter, bro. And there's guys like Errol Spencer, an Andre Ward type of fighter. They go acclimate
We'll find out next month if he is in that level.
Yeah, we're gonna find out, bro. We're gonna find out.
And
we already found out.
To me, Haney, I don't think his power translates up to that. If he skips, I don't think.
But everybody talking. Okay, everybody talking. Let me cut that out because everybody's talking that bullshit about Haney, right? Let me give you an example. Right? When Durant fought Buchanan, he didn't give Buchanan a rematch. He said, "Fuck no." He should have been disqualified in that fight. Okay, and he acclimated to that world level and became what he is, a legend that he is. So I don't want to hear that bullshit about Devin Haney not being a legend, bro. That is bullshit.
I'm not saying he's not a legend. I'm saying his power does not translate.
The kid is still growing, bro. The kid is still growing. Okay, first of all, Terry Norris, he was a world champion, bro. He was knocking dudes out. Gamal Charlo at the beginning of his career wasn't knocking people out. I mean, Gamel, the small one, he wasn't knocking people out. He changed his strategy and started knocking dudes out, creating knockouts. So give the kid some time to develop, man. Right now, he's at the development rate. These dudes are killers in that division, and they haven't been able to even drop him or hurt him. Only one was able to tap his chin, and he acclimated was Linares. So I don't want to hear that bullshit, bro. Like he's going up right now. The future is the level for him. Everybody just hating, bro. Like stop hating on Haney, bro. Right now, I was in another podcast. I was hearing another podcast. They were saying that Tank Davis is more competent than Haney. I believe that's bullshit, bro. How you gonna tell me that the undisputed champion of lightweight is less accredited and should not be in a pound for pound than a guy that has a regular belt? Okay, he fought guys that are good. I'll give Gervonta Davis credit. He fought a lot of tough ass dudes, bro. But you can't tell me that
he was unified at 140. What do you mean?
Yeah, he fought at 140 for the do with a regular belt. You can't, the accolades of the belts that Haney has, bro, they have to be respected, bro. And these people are not respecting those belts, bro. This kid was a WBC champion. He unified with Cambosos, bro. He was a unified. He defended that WBC belt mad time. And these people tend to forget. They got amnesia or something. I don't know what it is.
Listen to this one. Listen to this one, Suleiman. I got another great comparison for you. So when Canelo Alvarez was 24 and he fought Floyd Mayweather, everyone said he was green. But look how much better Canelo got from 24 up until now. Haney could do the same thing, right? Suleiman, am I wrong?
To interrupt you respectfully, sir. that fight with Floyd, everybody's talking shit. That fight that he did, it was him that wanted it. People tell me, yo, step back, son, step back, wait, let it simmer for a while. You know what I'm saying? He wanted that fight because he just finished beating Austin Trout, and he wanted to be the number one. So the same thing. Like right now, Haney is the number one, right? He's the number one, and he right now he's the stratosphere, is the image. So and he still has his own. So I don't understand. Like when Canelo did it, he pushed for the big fight and got it. Ryan did it. The problem with Ryan was that Ryan is too egotistical. Ryan was trying to knock out Tank early, and he didn't look at the game right. He didn't look at the guy's resume right. The guy he got good head movement. The guy, he spends time in the gym. He's a gym rat. So if he would have stepped back a little bit and let it simmer, right, and learn a little bit more, Ryan would have had that win on that resume. But the problem is that he tried to knock out Tank Davis early, and that shit wasn't happening, bro. People's not gonna be knocking out Tank, bro. Don't think if any of you guys think Tank's gonna get knocked out, that's bullshit. Tank's gonna lose to a guy like Haney that could box, that could move, that could pivot, that could smack that head back with that jab, that could do all that shit. He's not gonna lose to a puncher, bro. He's not gonna lose to a puncher, bro. He's gonna lose to a guy that could box.
Hey, Sullivan, just going back to that Mayweather Canelo fight, I was actually at that fight. In fact, I got this headband from that fight. They were giving them out for free at the entrance. You know, at that time, Floyd probably was, I don't know, maybe he was like 32 years old. He had so many successful pay-per-views. He was the face of boxing, right? Canelo, he was just a young kid, like, you know, coming up. Like, I think he wasn't.
Okay, he was a young kid in age, but he was a defending champion, boss.
Yeah.
I mean, interrupt you, boss. Canelo at that time was a defending champion, but people tend to forget that Canelo had the WBC 154-pound belt. He already been through the gauntlet already. He fought Canelo's big brother. He almost got knocked out, and he persevered. He adjusted in that fight,
So my point was that, you know, Mayweather, he already had his leg. He already had a lot of fan base at that time. But when you actually if in the stadium, the Canelo fans, right, they outnumbered the Mayweather fans by like 10-1 or even more, right? And I didn't get that because Mayweather was already, he was the face of boxing. He was fighting in boxing since the late 90s. Like, you know, he already had a huge fan base. Yet the Canelo fans outnumbered the Mayweather fans inside and outside of the stadium 10-1. I could never understand that. Like, and also it's not like, yeah, Canelo was a world champion at the time, but he was only 23 years old, man. Like, you know, he hadn't fought Triple G yet. Like, but yet and also there were a lot of Julio Cesar Chavez fans who did not like Canelo as well. Like, it was still at that time where
that's an easy one. That's an easy one to figure out. All you got to do is look at Arizona. You got to look at California, and then you got to even look at Vegas itself. Large Hispanic population in those areas.
Floyd's American. The fight was in America. It's like, well, you know,
Devin Haney lives in Las Vegas. That crowd was pro Lomachenko. I mean, that's just the way it is sometimes. People get a following, and that's the way it is. Lomachenko was a sentimental favorite in that fight, and I thought Haney won. But everyone's going crazy that Haney got the decision because everyone wanted Lomachenko to win. They just won't admit it.
Beebs, I do like Devin Haney. I do like his accolades. I like the fact that he went to Australia and fought Kambosos twice. In fact, I was at that first fight. But, you know, for Suleiman to say that Devin Haney has fought killers, I wouldn't consider Kambosos as a killer. I wouldn't even consider Lomachenko as a killer because he's really a super featherweight or a featherweight fighter. A killer is someone like Tank Davis. Devin Haney hasn't fought Tank Davis.
Yeah, but Lomachenko was the man at 135.
Yeah, I agree.
You can't discredit that win.
No, I agree with that. But like killers to me are like Tank. A killer is someone like Tank Davis. That's a killer at 135, right?
Yeah, but he's but Lomachenko's a shoe shiner, bro. He's Olympic degree level shoe shiner. What he was doing to Haney, he was shoe shining, bro. He was throwing the combination. All shit was missing.
Yeah,
he
but
was shoe shining. He was not hurt. If Devin Haney,
thank you so much.
He was shoe shining, and he hurt maybe Haney in the whole fight, and he hit him with one good shot, and Haney got pissed off and went all in his face to show him he wasn't hurt. Okay, so then he's crying. All the emotional bullshit that he did at the end was because he's an asshole. Because he, instead of fighting Camboso in Australia, he said, "I'm gonna go to the war," right, and all this thing, right, and at the end of the day, he's not a soldier, bro. He's not a soldier. He's a professional. He could have supported a whole battalion with the money he has.
He
Okay,
did say
so
he was in the trenches, though.
okay, he don't have to go to no war. This is bullshit, but this is a bull crap. He could support a whole regiment, okay, with the money he has, okay. So he could have went and got that fight and fought Camboso, and he didn't want the Camboso fight because he said, "Oh, wait a minute, this is a way I could extend this shit and get myself a guaranteed title fight." So what happened is Haney took the opportunity, went in there to the Lions Den and beat the guy twice. They gave him a horrible contract. They made him do a rematch. Okay, and they thought that he was gonna knock the kid out. Everybody thought like, wow, Camboso gonna land his left hook, it's over. Camboso couldn't even land the left hook, okay, at all. The kid was not hurt. And then the second fight, the kid even beat him better. Okay, so then now all of a sudden now Lomachenko think he's gonna get an easy fight with the kid, and he takes the fight, and he was just shoe shining, bro. He was just he's trying to steal the fight from the kid, and the kid, he looked like an asshole. The kid was punching him to the body all through the fight. The kid was not hurt. Everybody knew that. Okay, and the whole thing is that this Top Rank gotta go, bro. Top Rank, hold on, okay.
Suleiman, he can talk, man. I like Suleiman.
Suleiman is one of my favorites on this channel.
He can talk like 5 topics in one go.
I've known this guy for several years.
Okay. He's not Jose Suleiman, right? The Jose Suleiman, right?
Oh, he's
from the WBC.
He's bigger and better than that, man. This guy's a legend.
And you know who's a legend, Beebs? You know who's a legend, Beebs? Beebs. That guy's a legend, Beebs.
Besides myself, who?
There. That's the legend, Beebs. That's a legend there, right there. See that?
Who's that?
Bruce Lee, man. Come on, man. That's your man.
Nah, guy's just an actor, man.
Hey, Beebs, when I finally pay off this mortgage, which will be forever, I'm going to visit you in Boston, and we're going to go together at Seattle. And me and you will go and visit his grave. Him and Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee.
One of the best
I'll pay for your flights from Boston to Seattle.
This guy is one of the best martial art actors of all time. Give him all the credit in the world.
Oh, man. So funny.
This guy, man, I'm telling you, man.
Hey, B, so you're going for Spence too, Bud too, are you? I thought you're going for Spence.
No, I'm going for Bud, bro.
Yeah, I'm going for Bud as well.
I've been going for Bud, man.
Although I'm a bit worried about Bud's age. Like, he's 35, right?
I mean, there's a lot of things to consider here, man. I understand all the arguments. I get it, but I don't think Errol will land on. I forgot to ask Fight Doctor, who you got? Spencer Crawford, man. I forgot to ask you.
Yo, boss man, you think you will let me burn for a minute before I ask the Fight Doctor answer the question? Yo, so check this out, right? So the thing with Haney, right? So Haney went over there, beat this guy twice, right? I'm at work, so that's why I had to get the little interruption. So Haney went over there and beat the guy twice, right? And then they put it with Lomachenko. And Lomachenko fight, bro, to tell you the truth, bro, Lomachenko has been gifted from day one, bro. Because he, at the end of the day, he's not having it. He wasn't sweating Top Rank like that. Like, he didn't care. He's a take it or leave it kind of deal he gave him. So they put him against for a world championship on a second fight. Okay, regardless that they say that the guy cheated and all this bullshit that I hear all the time, he lost the fight. Then they put him for another championship. After you lost the fight, they put him with Gary Russell, right? And he fought a better fight in that fight. And Gary Russell was a little too green. Him and his little T-Rex arms, he lost the fight. But Gary Russell improved on that fight, okay? So then he went, and you notice, like, when they moved up to 130, they were putting him with, like, prima donna type of fighters. They weren't putting him with the upper echelon. So they built that dude. Top Rank built that dude. So you know what I'm saying? So that's the reason he was getting all emotional. It's not because he know he lost to Haney. Everybody know, but Top Rank built that dude. So they're behind that dude 100%. Like if you see it, like way Bob Arum said, "Oh, you won that fight." Fuck you, you won that fight. He didn't win that fight. He lost to Haney, bro. Everybody saw that he lost to Haney, and Haney should not make it up again. Durant didn't give Buchanan a rematch. Durant didn't give Buchanan a rematch, so why should Haney give this guy a rematch? There's no rematch clause, and there's other things in the horizon. You know what I'm saying? If Lomachenko's so nice, then why he don't take Shakur? Why he don't fight Shakur? Because Shakur put him on his ass. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, let's fight Dr. Byrne if you don't mind. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't want to. This is your show. I'm over here, but I don't fight Doctor was next. Yo, what's up, fight Doctor?
Yo, shout out to Suleiman. How you doing, my brother?
Yeah, who do you got in that Spence Crawford fight, Doctor? I never asked you.
I like Crawford by knockout.
Oh, okay. Knockout. Wow.
Yeah.
I like Crawford too.
I think Crawford has all the tools. And the problem with Spence is that he makes too many amateurish mistakes. He's not a complete fighter. And I think a guy like Crawford can capitalize on the mistakes that Spence makes. Look, in what Spence does, he's very good in what he does. But, just a guy who's as technically proficient as a Bud Crawford, I think he's going to be able to exploit those gaps, those holes, those chinks in Spence's armor. And I think he stops him.
I don't think he'll stop him.
I'm actually picking him by stoppage as well too. I think he gets him out of there late.
Wow.
Okay, so you guys gonna let me interrupt that because that's you just started the fire in the barn. You guys just started. Okay, first of all, Crawford, bro. Crawford is a prima donna type fighter. I mean, I was on another show. They went how you call it, on the resume of both fighters, bro. And I don't want to hear that bull crap saying that Spence is gonna get knocked out by this dude, bro. That's this baloney, bro. First of all, Spence is much bigger than him. Spence fought fighters that could tap. Okay, look at Lamont Peterson. Lamont Peterson gave up his regular belt to fight Spence, and he was landing shots on Spence and didn't do nothing. Okay, Spence walked through those shits and knocked them the fuck out. Okay, and then he fought this guy. What's his name? Ugas. Ugas tapped him on the chin. Ugas likes to fight on the inside, and he recovered from that. And then he increased his punch output and beat the daylights out of Ugas. He beat the little Ugas so bad that he busted his orbital. Okay, so that dude right there is the elite, the top tier fighter. That's the real pound for pound champion right there. That Errol Spence guy is the real pound for pound. Okay, this other guy, he fought guys like Julius Undango. He fought guys that was catching dudes early and knocking dudes out early, but they were never at the caliber of the fighters that Errol Spence fought. Man, look at the resume of Errol Spence. Look, he fought Danny Garcia. He shut out Danny Garcia. He beat Danny Garcia the best. Okay, he almost got Keith Thurman in the ring, but Keith Thurman found a way not to fight that fight. He got Ugas in there. Okay, he fought Sean Porter when Sean Porter was still in his game. Okay, and then this guy fought him afterwards, and the father's running through the tower. He didn't stop him. He just got a TKO. This guy, I like Terence Crawford, but the only chance Terence Crawford has to win this fight is if he goes southpaw, and that's when he's in danger. When he does that's when he's in danger, and that's when he starts scoring points. But he in no way, not for nothing, but Errol Spence could take a shot to give a couple of shots, and he increases output. Look what he fought Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia did see a flaw. He said, well, I got a tight defense. He was fighting in that little circle style of fighting, and that's why he didn't get knocked out. But the output that he gave him, Errol Spence, he shut him out. So how is Terence Crawford going to deal with that kind of punch output? And he's nice on his toes. People think he's flat-footed. He's not flat-footed. Errol Spence is not flat-footed. Errol Spence could box and hit. So people are thinking like Errol Spence is one dimensional. That's bullcrap. He gives you the illusion that he's one dimensional, but he's not. He got ferocious body attack. He got everything on his resume. So you guys gotta stop listening to other people and look at the resumes. Terence Crawford he got no chance, bro. He got no chance to win this fight. That's why he was fronting all the time. This fight right here is gonna hurt him. It's not going to hurt him because he stepped to the game, but he's going to lose. And that's why he don't want a rematch. He said, I don't want no rematch clause because you know why? Because he's going to lose this fight, man. Everybody knows that guy, Errol Spence, going to win this fight, and he's going to fight Canelo next, bro. He's going to fight for something big.
Yeah, now the loser actually has a rematch clause on that fight. But I do agree with Suleiman that I do think that Spence has a better resume at 147 than Bud. But overall, Bud's resume is not bad because he's a belt holder at 147, was undisputed at 130, also a belt holder at 135. His overall resume is not bad. He's just missing that one signature fight, which is this one here on July 29. When he beats Spence, it will solidify. It will make him like a. He's already a Hall of Famer, Bud Crawford, but this one will solidify. It will. It will put him in another category, especially if he beats him convincingly.
They're just two different type. Like for example, like let's say right now, like Terrence Crawford is like a coyote, but this guy's like a big wolf. When the coyote sees a wolf, he's no match. He's gonna take off or get eaten. So that's the same thing with Terrence. Terrence is going in the ring with the apex predator, and the apex predator is Errol Spence. He might be able to survive a couple of rounds and give a good performance, but at the end of the day, they're counting because he got rocked over there by Ugas. But look at the quality of guy. I guarantee you, he'll have a bomb burner, have a fight with Ugas if he fought him, Terrence Crawford. But he didn't. He fought Avanesan because Avanesan has a weak defense. Avanesan skills deteriorated because he started knocking dudes out like Josh Kelly and stuff like that. So even he was tapping him, and then something happened with the gloves that imploded, but he knocked them out. So this is to show you like something's wrong. He's not the same caliber, the same quality fighter. This guy's the apex predator of that division, man. Okay, this guy was being avoided. He's something like a Javon Ennis is now. He's being avoided, bro. He's being avoided even before he had a belt. Okay, Errol Spence was being avoided before he had a belt. So that's my opinion, man. I think my opinion, this guy's gonna like, oh my goodness, he'd be lucky if he stands after 12 rounds. If he's standing after 12 rounds after he fights this guy, you know what I'm saying? He'd be lucky.
This is going to be dramatic.
I reckon this fight here in July 29, I think it's going to be a really good one. It's going to be like a Shane Mosley De La Hoya one fight, like where they go at it, all action fight. Because we've been with the Pacquiao Mayweather fight, boring fight. Khan broke 5 years too late, or 7 years too late. This one here is kind of that, but at least they're closer to their prime because Brook and Khan.
You ever saw that fight, the Milton McCory against Donald Curry? I think this fight's gonna be like that. This fight's gonna be like a Donald Curry in his prime against a Milton McCory, and he's gonna get the knockout because the guy is smaller. He could box, but everything that he does, Errol Spence does better. Errol Spence has got a better A game than him. Everything that he does better. That's why he got more money. They had to give the guy more money to get him in the ring because he didn't want to fight. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, like he didn't want to fight, and they had to give him more money to get him in the ring. Okay, they had to give this guy.
Suleiman, to me, I reckon it's the other way around. I reckon the only advantage that Spence has is his strength. I even think that Bud punches harder than Spence.
I tend to defer because look at the quality of opposition. Look at Errol Spence's career has been all through 147. This guy's been moving up. He fought smaller fighters, older fighters, like older fighters that Thomas Crawford. Look at the resume, man. He fought a shot-born Amir Khan, who at his prime could box, who was beautiful, bro. But the one he fought was a shot-born, and he couldn't knock him out. Okay?
I don't know if it was Sean or
okay.
shot.
He
man.
fought a damaged Kell Brook, 2 broken orbital bones. Okay, and he gave Kell Brook the illusion that, oh wow, you could box me, and I don't know what. Boom.
Yeah, so I don't know if Jeff Horn was shot. He just came off a victory against Pacquiao.
Okay, Jeff Horn almost got knocked out by Manny Pacquiao. Jeff Horn's training regimen in Top Rank, they kicked him out of Top Rank gym because he wanted air-conditioned gym. They didn't have it. Okay, his training regimen was wrong. Okay, he went in the ring there thinking like because Terrence Crawford is smaller, Terrence Crawford went on a bicycle, boxed for a couple of rounds, started landing shots, wore him out, knocked him out. The guy his training. Even you ask Jeff Horn, he's gonna say I had a problem with Bob Arum. I didn't get the training properly for this fight. I couldn't acclimate in that gym, and that's why he lost. Okay, so I know every single thing about every fight of Terence Crawford. Every single fighter he fought either was didn't undertrain, okay, or they were old, or something was wrong. Okay, Gamboa too small, and he rocked him. Okay, and ever since that day, he hasn't fought a guy that could hit like that. Okay, so he got dropped by that guy, the Mean Machine. The Mean Machine dropped him. Okay, so the problem is that everybody's looking at the knockouts. The knockouts are suspect. The knockouts. Don't look at the knockouts. Look at this guy's resume. Look at Errol Spence's resume. Okay, the only problem is that he got hit with that punch. He got injured and came back, and he's looking more strong. He's looking stronger now when he fights because his training. He's not when he came back from the injury. He had to go like to get his weight back. So he wasn't that good, and he still won the fight. But now he's even stronger. Okay, so I hope you guys are not betting the farm on Terence because he's gonna lose this fight, man. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna lose this fight. There's no way he's gonna.
Who's the favorite in Las Vegas, Beebs? What's the odds?
It's like a dead heat. Some people have Crawford favored very, very slightly, but the majority of these bookmakes have it like dead even.
Man, so betting on Bud Crawford will be good value, right?
Yeah, if you like Bud, I mean, like you could bet on either guy and get good value on it. Really, it's a pick and fight.
Yeah, it'll be
they haven't
like
said the undercard. Who's the undercard? Who's on the undercard of that fight? They haven't.
I don't know the whole undercard yet. I have to wait.
Boots Ennis will be there. Boots Ennis will be fighting a nobody.
And then they got all these. At least the welterweight division is beautiful. At least the management team is good because the heavyweights, man. The heavyweight division right now is like I don't know what the hell is going on with the heavy. Mahmoud Shah hasn't fought. All he do is driving Rolls Royces in Dubai and buying Rolex watches. Trevor Bryan not doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? The boys is mad big. Everybody's counting him out against Usyk. They say he doesn't have a chance. I think he has a big chance. He has a puncher's chance in that division because he's a true heavyweight. And if he catches Usyk right with a right punch, he could knock him out. So if he wins by knockout against Usyk, I guarantee you, Tyson people won't have a problem signing that fight. The problem is that he don't want to fight Usyk. I don't know what is with Usyk that he don't want to fight him. But I guarantee you, if Daniel Bryan upsets this guy, there's gonna be a signed contract. But everybody's talking crap because he was winning the fight against Joe Joyce, but then he got stopped because of the eye. Because Joe Joyce was his jabbing, you know what I'm saying? And he was durable, but everybody's counting him out because of Joe Joyce fight. But this guy, he was a highly counted prospect. And
by the way, that Joyce Zhang, that's a rematch on that, right? That's already been scheduled.
Yeah, I like
Joyce Zhang is a rematch.
I like Joyce. I like Joyce in that fight.
In the rematch?
I do.
Okay, so Beeb, you have to explain that one. You have to explain that one.
I'll explain to you why, because I did think that Joyce was coming on in that fight, and he was starting to change the momentum in that fight. And I don't believe, and I am not 100% confident in Zhang's gas tank. I thought he was fading in that fight. So I think Joyce was starting to get to him a little bit. I thought he was closing the gap. And I thought, like I said, Zhang was getting tired, and I thought that his punch output was going down.
Hey, Beebs, are you in that same believer group that Cotto, that Margarita was coming on late in that fight in the rematch at Madison Square Garden?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay, just checking.
Okay,
but
I
like Zhang.
Here's
his eye.
Go ahead.
He has scar tissue on his eye. Joe Joyce has scar tissue on his eyes. That's happened in his amateur career. Been stopped by eye cuts. So Zhang must have did research on that, and Zhang targeted his eyes. So
I love when he says that.
If he could protect his eyes, maybe he has a chance of knocking him out.
Go ahead.
So Suleiman is essentially, speaking to the point that I wanted to make is that if Joyce doesn't incorporate some type of defense into his game plan, then in my opinion, it's just going to be a repeat of what we saw a few months ago.
Yep.
Listen, it's not against the rules to move your head. And Joe Joyce, up to this point, his defense has been to block punches with his face. And, look, when you get to the higher echelon of the heavyweight division, that doesn't work. You have to look. There's just certain punches that he was getting hit with that a top guy in the division should not get hit with. Period.
But he's got to live up to his nickname, the Juggernaut. Because if he starts moving his head, then he's not the Juggernaut anymore.
Yeah, but picture him getting hit by a huge puncher like a Wilder. Like even Tyson Fury had to adjust. He had to use a lot of head movement when he fight Wilder. So there's guys in that division that could tap, and he was losing that fight against Danny DeBois. The problem is that he managed to hurt the kid's eye, and the guy's eye got swollen. But that's not going to be happening if there's a rematch. If he upsets Usyk and he steamrolls Usyk, and there's a rematch somewhere along the line, there's no way that guy's going to be able to accomplish that performance. Everybody knows that he got scar tissue on those eyes from previous cuts, and he's been stopped before in the amateurs, and now Zhang showed that. So I don't think I think he climaxed, bro. I think Joe Joyce is done. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Doctor, I don't think Joe Joyce is capable of adjusting. Kind of like Mongia, he can't adjust either. That's just how he is. Same with Joyce. He's just going to have to tough it out against Zhang. But the thing is, Zhang is too long, and he's a southpaw too. I don't think Joyce is I don't think he has that in him, or he hasn't got the tools to adjust to that sort of a style. I think it's going to be the same result. I think Zhang's probably going to knock him out this time, I reckon. Like knock him out.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I don't want to write Joyce off. Okay, maybe perhaps an old dog can learn new tricks. Who knows? We won't know until they actually get in the ring. However, me personally, I think this, and I understand Joyce is 37. How old is Joyce? 37, 38 years old.
37.
So
he's old.
Yeah, so time isn't exactly on his side. However, I just don't think it was the smartest decision to go, straight back into a rematch with this guy. I figure maybe perhaps they would want to fight someone else who's not maybe as sharp as Zhang, another southpaw, and just sort of maybe figure out what is it we need to do before going into a rematch.
I like his confidence, though, Doctor.
I don't. Well, I don't know if it's confidence or stupidity, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but I think Joyce is going to win this one. I wouldn't even be surprised.
The rematch is in England, right, Joe?
I wouldn't even be surprised. Yeah, I'm not sure where the rematch is. I'm assuming it would be. I won't be surprised if Zhang knocks him out. Excuse me, if Joyce knocks him out. I meant to say. I saw a momentum shift in that fight.
But Beats, I don't think Joyce ever hurt Zhang in that fight. To be honest,
I think he buzzed him a few times, but obviously Zhang hurt him more. Well, was Joyce hurt? We did see Joyce kind of buckle a little bit for the first time badly in a fight. So that is.
And also remember, he came in light. He came very light in that fight, Joe Joyce. He came in light.
Yeah.
So if Joe Joyce comes back to his natural weight, maybe he could and tighten his defense. He
could have underestimated him a little bit. Could have underestimated him a little bit too.
He came in light.
Zhang should really be undefeated because a lot of people thought he beat Hrgovic. So technically, he's really Zhang. Big Bang Zhang is really an undefeated heavyweight. Southpaw too. Southpaw. How many heavyweights out there that are southpaws? There's not too many. They're all usually right-handed.
Right now, the heavyweight division, all the top tier fighters, like Andy Ruiz Jr., what's he doing? What's he doing? He just lost the belt to Joshua. He sees how weak the division, the top division is weak. The belts, this guy, Tyson Fury is not fighting nobody because he's waiting for a good fight that he wants. The multiple champion is gonna fight Danny DeBois, and this guy's not making no moves, man. Andy
Yeah,
Ruiz.
he should fight.
No,
He should fight someone. He should fight Dubois or someone, or fight the winner of the Zhang Joyce fight.
or Felix Hergovich. That's another one. He's just
Yes. Fight Felix Sergeyevich. But maybe it's too risky. I don't even know what Andy Ruiz's end game plan
what's your
is.
opinion, Habib, on that, on the heavyweight division right now? Why is that happening? Why is these guys?
I was saying that I was saying that yesterday because none of these guys are fighting. Everyone's talking about Fury not fighting, but it's none of them are fighting. AJ was saying they were going to fight. He's going to fight Dillian White. What's going on with Dillian White? I think a lot of these guys are just waiting for the Saudi money. Like you got Wilder and Joshua and Fury. They're all holding up the division because they're waiting for that Saudi money. That's what the big thing is.
The Saudis only going to take 4 fighters. They're not going to take 8. They're only going to take 4.
I know, but you have to understand, all these guys aren't going to fight other guys because they're waiting.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's only 4, but really when you look at all the potential opponents that want to fight the 4, that's a lot of fights.
Yeah. True.
So
because,
I don't know what's going on with this.
Dillian White is beatable, bro. It's like he's another Derek Chisora. I mean, they're fighting these guys. Like Derek Chisora should have been retired a long time ago. Bro. He needs somebody to put him on his back. And then what's his name? Dillian White. Dillian White got ferociously knocked out by this guy, by Tyson Fury, bro. I mean, he's not the same no more, bro.
The Russian guy, Povetkin.
Yeah, why would I want to fight this? Why I want to fight this guy? The guy's a bum, a stiff, bro. I don't want to fight a guy like that. I would be insulted to be in the ring with a guy like that. Like a Jabber Anderson should never fight that guy. Even the guy he's fighting now, Charles Martin, he got to fight somebody better.
That's another guy that's not like.
Those are stiffs, bro. I'm not. If I'm a heavyweight, I'll feel highly insulted to be in a ring with somebody like that. Like Dillian White's been knocked out. He's been tuned up. You know, somebody tuned him up.
Joshua needs to fight someone like Dillian White because he can't fight someone like a Hergovich because he's coming off 2 losses. 2 losses against Usyk. So he's gonna fight someone that's a soft touch, and I think Dillian White is the guy. I think he might fight Wilder next.
Nah, he should fight that guy Magonov, Mago something, that undefeated heavyweight. That he's creating a lot of heat because he got a couple of regional belts. He should fight a guy like him. He should fight. Forget about this Dillian White. Dillian White's a tune-up, bro. To me, he's a journeyman, bro. Forget about Dillian White. Forget about Derek Chisora. I think Joshua should not even think about those guys. He should fight a guy like a Felix Hergovich, undefeated, with a big O on there, a lot of accolades. Beat him. Show me I'm on top. Look at this guy. What's his name? The guy that lives in Germany, Ajay Caballel. Nobody's fighting the guy. He's a 2-time European champion. What's it gonna take to fight a guy like Joshua? This guy too, Manuel Cha, got a pretty good, credible resume. Nobody's fighting him. You know what I'm saying? Trevor Bryan just got 1 loss on his resume. He's much better than a Charles Martin. Nobody wants to fight these guys. I don't understand what's going on. Andy Ruiz Jr. I mean, he only got 2 losses on his resume. Credible losses. What's up? Make those fights.
By the way,
make it happen.
Do you guys like the Dubois Charles Martin fight? Anyone like
Dubois not fighting Charles Martin. He's fighting Usyk.
Nathan?
Dubois fighting Usyk, boss.
Fighting Usyk.
Who's fighting Charles? Charles Martin is fighting soon because
Jared Anderson. Jared Anderson.
Jared Anderson. Jared Anderson. Charles Martin.
That fight right there, to me, bro. That guy's a tune-up, bro. If I'm a Jared Anderson, I would say, yo, dude, I'm not taking this fight. This fight is a bum. This guy's a stiff. I don't care who he is. I'm not fighting, bro. You got to put your foot down, bro. I'm not fighting stiffs, bro. You gotta fight credible dudes. Like, that's what I like about Errol Spence. Errol Spence not fighting tune-ups. I love that shit, bro. When he says that shit,
like
that shit gets. I like that shit. I'm not fighting with fucking Charles Martin that got knocked out by
even after his accident, he went straight to Mikey Garcia, right?
I think Danny Garcia.
Was it Danny Garcia? Yeah, man.
I'm not fighting tune-ups, bro.
Man.
They should, at that level, Jared Anderson already is. He's so popular, bro. He comes in the ring. He's so popular that dude. He should be able to fight like top tier heavyweights. If not, then just mark it till you get, because that Charles Martin guys, that's a tuner, bro. That's a stiff, bro. He ain't gonna do nothing. He's just gonna lay down in that fight. He ain't gonna do nothing in that fight. Even Luis Ortiz, he's gonna lay down a jab on this. You know what I'm saying? That guy's been rumored he knocked out Tyson Fury in the sparring match. You know what I'm saying? What do you think about that, Habib?
I don't put much into it, and I'll explain to you why. I don't believe it, but even if it's true, I talked to John Scully about this. You got to put all these sparring stories in context.
Yeah.
You're training for a fight. You're cutting weight. You're under a lot of stress physically and mentally. Some guy who's not training for a fight but just goes in there to give you work, he can walk into that gym at any weight he wants to because he doesn't have to make weight, right? There's no pressure on him. Different set of circumstances. You may go in there with a training mindset. This guy may go in there trying to make a name for himself. Sparring is practice. I've always said that.
Also, in sparring, sometimes boxers they practice certain moves. So sometimes they want to get.
But think about it. You're in camp, right? You're cutting weight. You're 1 week out from the fight. Another guy just walks in there. He's eating whatever he wants. He's not killing himself to make weight, right? He's a lot bigger and stronger and fresher than you. He's fighting a depleted version of you in that sparring session. That would be the equivalent of having a fight with somebody. You have to make weight, and the other one doesn't. Who's going to have the advantage? That's the thing.
Yeah,
so people look at these.
I like that.
People look at these sparring things and they don't put them in context.
Yeah, I agree with Beeb. I don't read too much into these stories that come out about what happened in sparring. Everything has to be put in context. I mean, if a guy has been off for 6 months and his first time in the gym, whereas the other guy has been working for the last 6 months, and then they spar, well, the guy who's been off is at a disadvantage. I don't care who you are. You're just not going to be as sharp as the guy who's been working for the last 6 months. Yeah. So, the sparring stories, while they're fun, they need to be understood that it's sparring, and oftentimes we don't have the context.
Supposedly, according to Dillian White, he beat up Tyson Fury in sparring too. Look what happened during the fight.
Hey, also back in the day, Popo Freitas gave Mayweather hell in sparring.
So they say. I don't know. I wasn't there.
I remember that.
I wasn't. I mean, everyone's got a sparring story.
Yeah. Errol Spence too. He gave Mayweather fits in sparring. That's another story.
So Habib, what do you think about the heavyweights? The European heavyweight. What's gonna happen with them? They're just getting old. They're not getting the fights. So what will you do? What's a marketing strategy you might come up with if you was like a Char, like a AJ Caballero, one of these guys that want to get these big money fights with these big heavyweights? What will you do?
You got to cross your fingers and hope you get picked. It's like hitting the lottery, man. You're at the mercy of guys like Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder and Usyk. I think the biggest problem with these guys, though, to be honest, Suleiman, and Usyk found this out the hard way, right? Because now he's in a position of power because he's with the Saudis with Skills Challenge. You got to try to get yourself hooked up with the right people, right? You got to get the right promotional team behind you. You got to get involved with a promoter who's got a network deal, and that's half the battle right there. But these guys like Ajit Caballero and all these other guys, they don't have a big promoter behind them. Now Zhang is lucky because I guess Frank Warren has some options on Zhang. I know he was working. I think he was working with Golden Boy for a while. I think he was working with Eddie for a while. But yeah, you just got to get connected, bro. You got to get the right connections if you're a fighter. And if you don't have the right connections, you're not going to get pushed because it's all about who has the leverage and who doesn't. And to help yourself get leverage, you got to get hooked up with the right people.
Because we're seeing that even with Janabek. With Janabek he's unbeaten, has the WBL belt, and these guys he's not getting the fights. I think he himself, he should get bigger fights, man. That guy right there, he has the WBL 160-pound champion. Then the IBF belt is frozen. Like That guy Fabio something.
Yeah, let's see what happens now with the other belts in the division, because after Golovkin vacated them all, let's see who picks them up. I understand what you're saying about Janibek, but the one good thing about Janibek is this: he's active. Because he's got Top Rank behind him. They keep giving him dates, so that's half the battle. At least he's staying active. At least he's got a steady revenue stream coming in because he's getting these fights. So that's the good thing. That's the good thing. As long as you're active, eventually you're going to get the call. Right? That's the way I look at it.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
All right, I think I'm going to wrap it up, man. We've been on for almost 3 hours now, man. I want to thank everyone in the chat. Thank you guys for popping in. Thank you, Fight Doctor. Thank you, Suleiman, as always. And make sure you guys check out. Make sure you guys check us out on Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Peace out, everybody.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Habib, man. Thanks a lot, Habib. Thanks for having me on, boss. Later,
All right,
boss.
man, no problem, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got it. You got it, Fight Doctor. Take it easy.